Good morning, y'all. Testing audio. At least I'm testing mine. We're going to see if Steve has audio here in just a moment. And then we're going to get kick started. I see a bunch of questions already getting added. Go ahead and get your questions in before we get started. That way we can hit the ground running. Good morning, Emily. We hear Steve typing now.
Oh, on
Yeah,
the air. You're in the broadcast.
you
How
are in the
exciting.
broadcast. It is exciting. I got a lot of friends joining us. We're gonna get rid of this overlay here in a minute. My OCD doesn't let me cut it short early. It has to actually run its course at this point. So
Oh.
I know it's real bad. So for another 125 seconds, um,
Is
we've
that
already
enough
got
time
that.
for me to lower my camera?
Yeah, you got time. In the meantime, we already have one thumbs down. So I need y'all to combat that thumbs down with a couple of thumbs up. Let's go.
Oh, this was a mistake.
No worries, Steve. You have 104, 105 seconds.
I did not expect this boom arm to be this. I don't think I adjusted it down at all.
It's in the exact same location.
God damn it. Whatever.
Two thumbs down. Oh, y'all.
You ever think about how when you work on something at like at full arm's length, they just become infinitely heavier. It's like, Oktoberfest, they have the Stein holding competition,
Oh
and
yeah,
you think like I can drink like 10 of those, 4% German lagers, whatever.
sure.
You can lift that Stein all day long when you're just going from your stomach to your face, but as soon as you got to hold it out at arm's length, man, like
Yeah,
things
that's a
just
whole
break
other ball
down.
game. Whole other ball game. Well, that's why, like, when I go to the gym, like that hardly happens anymore now. But shoulder exercises, you just hold super light weights out, like at full extension. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. What's the gym? I don't know what that
yeah,
is.
I know. Gym is short for James.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when you go to the James.
So here we go. I can
Are
finally get
you
rid of this.
are you noting all of the questions?
I am actually.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Now, of course, it goes to this view. Why does it go to this view and not the default scene like it's supposed to? No, no, not again. We're gonna do that.
Well,
There's the
oh,
button.
here we go. Here we go.
What's up, y'all? Good morning.
What setting is this?
What setting is what?
Camera looks. Oh, you know what? Because I didn't focus. That's what I should have spent time doing.
Focusing your camera. Extreme close up. Wait, does your camera like do like a close up while you're focusing so you can focus more clearly?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's as good as it's going to get.
mine doesn't do that. All right, so let's cover this real quick, and then we got a bunch more questions as we get going. Are you sure Ryan won't be here? We are sure. This
I mean,
is
I don't know if we can be sure. He could like, hit me up for the link, and I could send it to him.
you
But
could. You're right. You're right. We could. But this is our experiment of stealing YouTube space away from Ryan. Is really what the gist of this is. So I'm gonna save that question. We're gonna back up. First of all, Steve, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, me
I mean,
too.
I'm just it's a time of the year where it feels like you're always tired. So,
Hmm.
uh, you know,
It's
I
because
didn't
it's
get up
hot.
early enough. I didn't get up early enough to do anything, and yeah, it's gonna be. We're in a cool down right now, so I think it's only supposed to be like 96 today.
Same.
So
It
a
got up
lot.
to it was 101 yesterday. So
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. We are looking at 94. Much cooler than last week.
yeah, it's a cold snap. I sent Joe Branton the forecast for like the a few weeks ago. I sent him like the forecast for 10 days, and we didn't have and I adjusted it to Celsius for him so that he could easily
Mm-hmm.
relate. But it was like we didn't have a single day where we were going to get under 98 for like 10 days. And he was like, "My God, how do y'all live?" I said, "Air conditioning. That's
Yeah.
the only way we survive." Oh man. All right. So we got some questions. Going back here.
Can we just, since we were just talking about it, can we just
Yeah,
knock out Emily's question? We're
sure
both
can.
using Sony A64s, right?
That is correct.
The
Yeah,
Alpha
60 the
Alpha
6400.
6400 from Sony.
Yep, I like that camera. I didn't know mine doesn't do that. I don't think it does. I don't reach
It
up and focus it
it
very often. So
should do
if
that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a setting I'm on.
yeah,
I'm on like I because I'm just plugged direct in through a capture card. It
yeah.
just whatever it does on the screen is what it shows on my screen.
I've got to figure
So
out what rig, if any, I'm taking to Fretboard Summit next week. Or this week, I guess, depending on how you view the start of the week. Um,
is that at the end of? Is that like Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll knock that question out. Got a couple of more. So I'm looking in a different tab. So if you're typing y'all, I can't see it. Um, let's see. Sassy asked about the Rascal bass. I do not still have the Rascal bass. I traded it. And something else to get this.
That's not a Rascal bass.
That is not a Rascal bass. This is a Gibson Thunderbird and non-reverse Thunderbird. Did they make them in a reverse? I don't remember. Anyway,
Wait, do they make them in a reverse? You mean the Gibson Thunderbird?
yeah, like it did. I thought all Gibson Thunderbirds were non-reverse. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't really pay that much attention to them. I think.
The Gibson Thunderbird is like the Gibson bass.
Yeah, one of
Like,
them. One of
but it's
them.
like it's like the one that they have produced for the longest.
Okay, I thought the SG bass, the EB.
Oh yeah, maybe. Well,
I
do they
thought that
even
one was
make
the
it?
longest.
Do they currently make it EB?
I don't know. Um.
They do have an SG standard bass, which is
Okay.
basically an EB2. I forget which
Yeah,
EB3.
I can never get the numbers right. I never get them right.
So it's the two pickup version. Two
Yeah.
pickup. Is this short scale? It is still the short scale.
Okay.
It's the two pickup.
They just got rid of the
Um,
confusing naming scheme then.
but yeah, the Thunderbird is basically the Firebird body, your
Yeah.
standard Firebird body, but it's a bass, and it's got to be like, I feel like it's got to be one of, yeah. They first started making those in 1963. They've been making them since 1987 continuously. And
Uh,
most
yeah.
notably played by, I'm trying to figure out who. I'm looking at the list on
Didn't
Wikipedia and trying to think of who I think the most famous of the Thunderbird bass users are
Um,
Chris
I,
Novoselic. I'm trying to. Do I usually
I
picture him
think
with a Thunderbird?
Lemmy is who I think of with a
Oh
Thunderbird.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, Motorhead. Come on.
yeah, Lemmy Motorhead, but also the Rickenbacker. He does the
Yeah,
Rickenbacker
yeah, that's
thing.
true.
Um,
Um,
oh, Nicky Moninger, which is that's more for me, from Silver Sun Pickups.
oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, kind of famously uses them. Um, John
Well,
Entwistle used them for a while.
oh well, then that's even more reason for me to love one. I see Michael Krause has asked, do the non-reverse have neck dive? Yes, they do. They do still neck dive. I don't really have much of an issue with it because of the straps I use. Because I use leather straps that are kind of grippy on the shoulder, so they don't doesn't dive too far. Anyway, that's what I did with that bass. That's one of my new things. Also the
I'm freaking dumb. The answer is Nikki Six. Nikki
oh
Six is
yeah.
the most famous Thunderbird bass user.
I over Lemmy?
Yeah, because there's no Lemmy Thunderbird signature model.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay. If there's a signature model, that makes more sense.
That being said, on his Facebook profile page, he's playing a Schecter. So go figure.
Yeah, someone asked while we're on this, Cody Star, what is the guitar
Oh,
hanging above Philip that is
you,
two away from the Firebird? So two away. I can't do this in reverse.
it's the
Um,
reverse. It's the
yeah,
non-reverse Firebird.
yeah,
So you have
it's
a Firebird and a non-reverse Firebird, and they are both two apart from each other.
yeah, they are. So I have one is a it's this hand. This one is a Firebird, and then this one is a non-reverse Firebird. Yeah. That I got recently. I sold some stuff and bought it from a buddy of mine who was selling it for way too cheap. And so, anyway, Steve, are you drunk?
Uh, I, no, I did have 2 beers yesterday, though.
Oh, I may have had 4 or 5 yesterday, so I'm feeling it today because I'm old. So we have to acknowledge the super chat. Copel, free Ryan from Ramona to the sea. Ryan Burke will be free. He is free. He's just not here.
Yeah.
He may join us when he wakes up. Who knows?
We are
never
not
know.
holding him. Oh no, I'm sure he's awake. He has 2 small children under
Oh,
the
that's
age
true.
of 10.
That
So
is
I'm sure
true.
he's awake.
So, Steve, I know y'all do this on your podcast, but we're going to do it anyway.
Hold on. I just realized the rest of Quentin's question asked if they do a
Oh,
reverse Thunderbird and starts mumbling about how long it's made and who played them. It's like he's never met an ADHD person before.
right.
I don't even think I have ADHD. I just think this is who I am. But
I do
uh,
have ADHD, and absolutely that is normal behavior. Actually, you're really lucky if we don't say if they do a reverse Thunderbird, and then the next thing I start talking about is like old mythology around Firebirds, and then eventually I'm going to talk about Smokey and the Bandit, and then I'm probably going to start mentioning the history of Pontiac. So, and that's within the first 30 seconds of being on this topic. That's just what I do. That's how my brain works.
the real problem I think is that I'm still like the reason I went off on that is because I just couldn't bring myself to terms that you didn't know what a Thunderbird bass was.
No, I knew what it was, but I couldn't remember if they had only made them in the non-reverse format or if they'd made the regular format because my brain just was not getting there.
Yeah, I don't even know if I feel like yours is one of the first non-reverses I've seen.
It might be. It might be. I know this one came out. Uh, some people really didn't like it on YouTube. Some people really liked it. I played it. I love the sound of it, and I think it
Mhm.
plays good. So I went with it. It does have a finish issue.
So the hold on, reading this because before you go on,
Yeah.
the non-reverse was made from 1966 to 1969 and then discontinued until 2012.
Wow.
So I'm not a crazy person.
Well, no, that you might still be a crazy person, but this is
Okay.
not a symptom.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
this is the one with the finish issue you were telling me about.
yeah. But it turns out they're gonna fix it for me.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that. So, um, Steve, you got anything new that you didn't talk about on the podcast already?
Um, I mean, I talked about this on Threads.
Uh huh.
I finally plugged this in.
Oh, did
I
you?
mean, finally, I plugged it in like a couple days after I got it.
Yeah.
The geranium tumnus. Um,
This.
and yep. And the thing with this, this is where I mean, I have another clonkalone back there, and I don't remember that one being mid scoopy, but this one definitely. I mean, I did the thing you're supposed to do with clones, right? Like turn the gain all the way up to maximum, turn, especially because this one has EQ, so I turned all of the EQ up to maximum, adjust volume as needed. And it was just surprisingly mid scoopy. It wasn't unpleasantly mid scoopy. I
Uh
was
huh.
just surprised about it, and so I posted about it. And a lot of people were like, "Why are you turning the gain all the way up?"
Oh my gosh.
The thing that I found so far with this pedal, though, that's I need to try it. I just haven't yet because my go-to pull, if I'm just gonna like sit around and play guitar, is my Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And this pedal feels like it already hates Les Paul. Like it feels like it doesn't want to play with Les Paul. So I need to plug my Strat into it. And part of that is because I think of the way my amp is set up,
Yeah.
where my amp is very much like with the hotter humbucker mix. Uh, it's gonna go right into amp breakup. So the lower gain settings on the Tumnus are kind of nonsense. They're a little nonsensical, just because at those lower gain settings, I'm basically getting the same sound that I'm getting from the amp on when I'm using like the bridge pickup because it's already hotter. It's already pushing the amp into a little bit of saturation, which is the same thing that like the low gain settings on the pedal are doing. So it's
Yeah.
just a thing. It's just an observation. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just
It
a
just
thing.
is a thing. I
Yeah.
I need to plug mine back in. I don't remember feeling like it was mid scoopy, but maybe it was, and I wasn't really noticing it. Because when I think of clon circuits, I think of pushed mids. That's typically why I don't normally play them very
Yeah.
often, is because with P90s and humbuckers, there's already so much mids in them that
Yeah.
it's like taking someone with my nose and then just making it worse.
Right,
Uh,
and it's not even like a mid scoop. The nose thing is more is what I mean because like mid scoop is a very in my picture of it, it's a very particular sort of you know new metal sort of thing, right?
yeah,
And this
yeah, yeah.
pedal isn't really doing like the that particular new metal sort of thing. What it's getting into is almost like it made me wonder, and I don't know, so maybe somebody knows, but it makes me it sounds like a rat to me.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, is that a thing? I don't is there some kind of shared whatever? So it's like that kind of filtering on the EQ. It's not like I said, it's not now this I'm reading a thing that says Klon is transparent with a high mid bump, so maybe that's what I'm hearing is the high mid.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
kind
it.
of like
Whereas like a
it sounds
tube
like
screamer, well, a tube screamer is close to like 800 hertz is where their mid push is. Klon's is more like 1200.
right. Right.
Coble, who edited this episode, you're cute thinking this would be edited. I will say that maybe we probably should stream another time and you play it and let me hear it because I do know that a few people, most people were fine, but a few people got a couple of pedals that were faulty and
Mm.
they were a little fuzzier than they were supposed to be and a little fizzy. So we need to make sure you didn't get one of those. They can be repaired, but that was a thing. That was a whole thing.
I wouldn't
Most
know.
of them were fine.
I wouldn't know, but with my luck, I did probably get one. Like
Yeah.
I was one of the first people. Well, I was on like the first release of the 1981 LVL,
Uh
and I
huh.
got a broken one.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I was also on that first release and did not get a broken one. So
I reached out to Matt and he was like super bummed.
hmm
And I was like, "Well, dude, like on the one hand, yeah, it sucks. On the other hand, at least you sent a broken one to somebody you like that we are friends. so
yeah,
so it's like at least you sent it to somebody who's not going to be like go on TGP or whatever and be like, I got a 1981 and it's fucking broke.
yeah. Speaking of TGP, Ian, how many
Yeah.
pages is the TGP? It is long. It is long
Is
for
it
the
still going?
like 10 people that got a broken one out of the 2,500 they sent out. Um, Looking back at a few, let's look
God,
at a
it's
couple of these questions.
119 pages.
Goodness. All right, so let's see. I'm going to look at a couple of. Oh, Michael Kraus asked, "What stores you hitting when you're on the East Coast?" So I'm headed over to Massachusetts in September for a work related thing, and then I'm going to stay for a few days. I'm going to hang out with Matt and Dave from the Guitar Dads podcast, and we're gonna go see Rival Sons in New Hampshire, I believe. Um, the plan right now is also going to hang out with Alex from Copper Sound. The plan is to hit for sure. I want to hit Matt's Music because I love the guys over at Matt's Music. I've bought a few things off of them and they're really good to me. It's kind of a pain to get to. It's a pain to get anywhere in the Boston area. It is just a pain. But I'm gonna head up and do the Music Emporium as well, which is I think in New Hampshire as well. Um, and so I want to go check them out. They're a Grez dealer, so I want to go play a few of those.
Oh, nice.
They're like a Collings dealer too, but Collings are amazing. But already know that. I don't need to play them to know that. I know Grez are amazing too, but you see a lot fewer of them out and about, right? So
When Emily says, "Oh, those were the other guys in the chat, Matt and Dave," is she talking about
yes,
the
our
text message?
text chat, yes, that's
Those
the
are
other guys in the chat.
those are the two numbers. Well, no, and that and Landon's. I didn't know that because I guess I've never called there. I didn't know that Canada has the same sort of like that Canada's a +1
Oh
basically.
yeah,
If like for long distance.
he gave me a number and that's the one I'm using. So I don't know how that works. Maybe he's got a bootleg number from the
No,
U.S.
that's what it is. All of
Yeah.
Canada is +1.
Okay. Well, that's good of them to be very American.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. We're gonna carry on the typical Ryan hate of Canada. Um,
I'd rather not.
I'm just kidding. We don't hate Canada. Many of my favorite people are Canadians. Let's see. All right, we hit that one. I want to hit these backlogs. Nick Call, should we buy vintage 40-watt amps right now because they're inexpensive? And they are. They rose there for a little bit and now they're back down to ridiculously low pricing. If you have money, if you have the spare income, yes, you should be buying big vintage amps. Because they
These
go for not a lot of money. They're great amps, but also don't go into debt for your gear. Don't spend money you don't need to do.
I guess I don't know how much they were. Oh, that's a local pickup. Local
Well, there's
pickup.
a 68 Super Reverb in Muscle Shoals right now that my buddy Dez is selling for $1,000, and it has the original CTS speakers. Those speakers alone can sell for $200 a piece. So that's $800 in speakers. And then
Yeah.
it's just a dumb deal.
I am only seeing mostly reissues and mods on Reverb right now. Let's
Yeah,
see.
you're not gonna find the deals on Reverb. Your deals
It's
on
got to be local.
Yeah, your deals on big amps are always going to be local because people don't want to ship them.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
going to be it.
I did see one that was like local pickup only for like $800.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it was in good shape or not. But I mean there are some here we go. A Fender Super Twin Reverb because I searched for Super Reverb.
Uh-huh. And so you
It's
get
also catching Super Twins.
also it gets you any listing where someone describes the amp as super. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
this is reverb, so I think it's only title searches,
Let's
or
see.
at least it's keeping me to title searches. But oh, here's a 1970s one for 1100.
Yeah, look at that.
So I was
So
looking for like a
mine is
black
a
based one,
mine's a
but
1970, and I've had it converted to black panel spec. But like, here's one: San Clemente, California. It's a 70 to 77. It's got the angled speakers and the master volume, but it's $1,100 local pickup. I think that's too much. I think you can get a much better deal than that one. Don't and the fact that you can get a PCB reissue for $1,000 used, or you can buy a vintage one for $1,000.
right, right.
Yeah, I mean it's just a no brainer to me. Buy the vintage one. If you're gonna buy a back breaking amp, you may as well get one of the good ones.
Have you played the Tone Master Super?
I have. I actually I played a gig with somebody else using one. And
Hmm.
my final conclusion was it's a great amplifier. It does not sound like a super reverb.
Interesting.
I think it sounds great. And if you just want a great sounding, yeah, I know Emily has one. Um, uh, I think they sound really, really, really good. And they're light. They're really wonderful. Um, but they don't sound like a super reverb. That's it's just the I think the Tone Master Deluxe sounds more like a deluxe than any of the other ones that I've tried. I haven't tried the Princeton. I haven't tried the Tone
Hmm.
Master Princeton. I've tried the all the others. Well, I haven't tried the new Bassman yet. But I think the deluxe sounds the most like a deluxe until you crank it, and then it overdrives weirdly.
Interesting.
It
It's
does.
because is it because it's a 200-watt amp?
Maybe I don't know. It it
The
was good.
tone is in the tone is in the bill for the chiropractor.
It's true. The tone is in the dolly that you buy to haul it around. But it again, like I said, it's not a good or bad thing that it's different. They sound great. I just don't.
Hmm.
It doesn't sound like a vintage super reverb, which is fine. And they look amazing. I love the fact they look like a super reverb, and you can have that on stage. Sort of tempted to have one just for that. You know what I mean? For that portability. I don't
Hmm.
play. There's a place I used to play fairly regularly that has the worst stairs. They're outdoor stairs, really narrow, up to the place where you play. And I would love to have had a much smaller, lighter version of my super for those gigs. Um, Emily, you're going to need to explain what is the Midwestern interesting. Is it actually the opposite? Is interesting the Midwestern bless your heart? I
We
would
all
be.
just wait for the
Yeah, I know.
answer.
We all wait. In the meantime, Lyle from Cyanic Audio has a recent Tone Master Super commentary. I like Lyle's takes on tube amplifiers a lot. I don't know. Maybe he speaks very highly of it. I don't know, but I just don't feel like that's the area I'm going to Lyle to watch.
Yeah, according to Reddit, interest saying that's interesting or that's different is the Minnesotan equivalent of well bless your heart.
Well, all right, there we go. I was on it.
Which,
Um,
that not to lean political, but that makes a lot of sense why Tim Walls's great insult was y'all are weird.
yeah, it does. All right, let's hard hitting questions from Doyle. What drive pedal won't sound like duty through my Roland JC amp? It seems to hate any drive I throw at it. Steve, have you ever tried to put drive pedals through a jazz chorus?
No, I haven't.
I have, and man, it's a whole thing. I'll be honest, Doyle. I never managed to get an overdrive to sound great through the JC. I had the JC 120, so that volume as well is a thing there. A lot of people use the smaller ones and use the JC120 and get great drive sounds out of them. I couldn't get anything I liked out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Myrna Bean says remembers a full drive 2 working well. So in that case, instead of a full drive 2, a pedal that I think gets you a very similar tone, and I did not try this, try the Earthquaker Devices Plumes. Because while I know it's supposed to be a tube screamer, it doesn't sound like a tube screamer. And I think that's why people who don't like tube screamers like the Plumes, because it doesn't sound or feel like a tube screamer. So give that a try.
Is that a... I've actually still not played a Plumes, which is a shame because they're cheap and they're even cheaper
Yeah.
used.
Yeah,
There's a blue one. There's a
buy
blue
a
one
Plumes
on
right now.
Reverb
Let's
for
go, Steve.
$60.
Just get a Plumes. I don't have mine anymore. I bought one when they were new, but it's mainly because I had enough tube screamers. I didn't need another one. But I am going to buy, I think, a Blooms for my baseboard.
Well, that's the other question: is should I buy a Plumes or should I just buy a Blooms?
That you know what? If you're going to play bass more, I would buy the Blooms.
I don't play anything.
We got to get you in a band. We got to get you in a band, Steve.
If you search for Blooms on Reverb, it gives you a bunch of like random kids toys.
Oh, I'm surprised. Oh, because you searched on Reverb. Don't search on Google because you'll just end up being shown where they're banning Judy Blume books in
Yeah,
in
that's what
Utah.
I was gonna say.
So, yeah, don't look at that. Let's see. I've got to size my window down so I can actually look at it while I have all these other overlays of the chat and everything going on.
I just really like this blue one on Reverb for $60 plus $10 shipping.
I mean,
but then there's a purple sparkle one for $71 and free shipping.
Oh, I see it. It's in Washington too. Wait, do they accept offers? No offers. You should at least. I'm going to click it now. I'm going to watch it now and see if they send me a direct offer. Looking at the chat, we're going to continue on this Reverb journey, I guess. Does anyone find a deal on Reverb? I feel like I never see anything worth it. I absolutely find deals on Reverb. You've got to be... So the deals disappear quickly because they're deals and they've got tens of thousands of people viewing it every day. So you gotta be quick.
Yeah.
So
there's such a heavy presence there now. I think if you're unless you are set up for like watch list emails, so on and so forth, you're just not going to see things.
Also, if
you're not going to see deals,
and even then, the emails come out long after things are listed. Depending on how you view it, like hours after they're listed, you might not get the thing if you're not ready. If you're not watching, I'm constantly just checking it a couple of times a day, checking my feed. So if there's anything I'm looking for, very specifically, I want this thing, I will open the app just a couple of times a day just to look at my feed to see if something's popped up at a crazy deal. And I have gotten some crazy deals that way.
I'm kind of looking through there's some of the stuff we've pushed on the show in the past that I still think are really cool pedals are pretty cheap on Reverb because I follow them in general. Like I have that Big Ear L Reverb. There's one for $120 right now.
Oh man,
that's a steal for a 3-knob verb. I guess like you could probably get something that's also that whatever that reverb chip is that everybody used. I don't remember offhand, but it's like the PT 2399 bass that they also use for all the delays and whatever. I think that's what's going on there, and you could probably get like a Chinese whatever for dirt cheap off of Amazon, but it's not gonna look cool.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing, right? It's got to look.
It needs to look cool. I'm beyond that. I don't need it to look cool. What you got?
I'm just looking through these questions.
This is the truth. Scientific Uppercuts got it. As soon as you find a good deal, you got to snag it. I saw somebody snag an HX Stomp for $350 like 2 months ago because I was too slow.
That's crazy. That's a little nuts.
Do you have a favorite Chapel Roan song?
Probably.
So I've got to tell you, I have not been listening to Chapel Roan because I have been too obsessed with Sierra Farrell lately. She's
I
a
know.
like
I know
she's this
that
real
name.
quirky bluegrass artist that's I don't know. She's just really, really, really good.
I
She,
I know I know this. I know her, and so let me answer Emily's question first.
yeah, do that.
I think my current favorite Chappell Roan song, or the one that like I come back to, um, I don't know. My my algorithm just keeps wanting to feed me my Kinkus Karma, so I end up just hearing that one a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I don't know if that's my favorite. I don't know. I guess I don't know if I have an answer. Um, I think that album's really good. Rise and
Yeah,
Fall of a Midwest Princess is a really good album. I saw this article the other day. I was telling my wife about it. There's an article the other day that was talking about how Tate McRae fans are mad that she's not eligible. Like she finally had her breakout year, but she's no longer eligible for best new artist
best
in the
new
Grammys
artist. Yeah.
because she's basically apparently you can only apply for best new artist 3 times, and so she's already done that and wasn't accepted the other 3 times.
Oh.
But in classic pop music beef, the Tate McRae fans are mad because Sabrina Carpenter apparently is going to be on the best new artist list because this was, I think, her third application.
Yeah.
And this whole thing, people are going back and forth, and whatever they call their own fan bases, I don't know. And I'm just like, y'all, why are you fighting about this? Chapel Roan has this on lock. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't see how anyone competes with the
Well,
year that she
because
had.
the
I get,
nomination matters. The nomination matters.
yeah, does it? I mean, historically, best new artist has been a career killer, anyway.
That's not. I. You know what? I can't say one way or the other because I've not followed awards that well. I don't know. Um. Uh. Oh, Emily says you also can't have been nominated for a Grammy before.
Right.
Okay.
Which
So
is why Lady Gaga wasn't eligible in her
yeah,
breakout year because she
that's a
had been
problem.
nominated the year before for Just Dance as
Hmm.
Best Dance.
So my algorithm has been just feeding me nothing but Sierra Farrell, which is my own doing.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I also watched her Tiny Desk concert, and it may have been the one of it's not the because I can tell you the, but it was one of the most engaging like low key performances. I don't want to say low energy because it wasn't like it was low energy, but it wasn't like over the top. Like it wasn't Chapel Roan or it wasn't what you see from Lady Gaga or Sabrina Carpenter. It was so just like dialed back and just authentic and genuine and amazing, and I just really really loved it. But I've been a fan for a while now. And then the other thing is Sabrina Carpenter. Just I am just flooded with Sabrina Carpenter, and I don't understand. I don't dislike her. I think I watched her episode of Hot Ones on First We Eat,
Hmm.
and then I've got nothing but Sabrina Carpenter after that.
I haven't seen that one. So Sierra Farrell, I know for a very dumb reason. She has some song. I don't even know what song it is. Is it going to be in my search history? It is not. Um, that supposedly, so it's like one of her first songs. Um, from like 2018 or something has this very like every freaking song of that like Mumford and Sons, Lumineers kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and so she put out some song that sounds like that. And then there's another artist called Jordy Searcy who has a song that has a very similar guitar part. And so people are like, oh, he stole this song from her and whatever. And I'm just like, man, they're just both copying freaking the Lumineers. Like, what what do they call that? It's derisively called stomp clap pop.
Oh yeah, yeah. Stomp clap. I remember that now. I was trying to think. I see. I just think of them as all of those, and there's way more in that whole movement. That were just everything was in two.
Yeah.
Everything was in two. It's like, hey, four is overrated. Let's only have two beats a measure, and we're gonna make every beat intense as could possibly be. And that's the way it felt. Anyway, I get it. Shovels and Rope is oh, got a thumbs down on that one. Obviously, got some Lumineers fans in here. I Shovels and Rope is incredible. I've seen them live a few times now, and they are just great. Let's see what else we got. I'm gonna scroll back here.
What's Shovels and Rope?
It's a
Is that a band?
yeah, it's a duo, real rootsy. They're real good. I saw them. They opened for Tedeschi Trucks Band.
Okay.
That's the first time I saw them. Then I've seen them in a couple of smaller places since then. Um, let's see what we got here. Oh, where did it go? I saw it a second. There it is. I missed a Guild Surfliner HH for $200 and somehow missed a price slash. Yeah, that's man, you got to be on it if you're looking for deals. Also, if you're really looking for deals, and I've got a series of videos I've been scripting that I just need some time to sit down and record. But if you're looking to find deals on things, you've got to make a decision. Are you looking for a very specific piece of gear? Or are you just looking for a deal that you could maybe flip or trade into the thing you want? Because if you're looking for something very specific, it's going to take you a little while to get that deal. But if you've just got your antennas out and you're paying attention to what everything is going for, like as much as you can, you'll be able to jump on something that's a major deal and then maybe flip it into something else that you want. That's what I've done. That's how
Right.
I've spent 25 years doing that. That's how I have the gear I have, is because I did that. I flip into a lot of stuff.
How are
Anyway,
there no plumes on my local marketplace?
are you still looking for plumes?
There's
Well,
a hummingbird.
I am more surprised that you don't have one in your local than me. So,
I mean, I do. Inland Empire kind of sucks for guitar,
yeah.
honestly. Um,
There's one in Memphis for $60.
yeah, I'm not in. Well, yeah, for $60, I might as well pay the extra $10 for shipping off
Yeah.
Reverb.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out why you haven't. Oh, there's also sales tax, so there's that.
This
Um,
isn't even showing me my friggin' like it's showing me. It's so non-existent here that it's showing me Las Vegas.
whoa, really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, Facebook Marketplace is kind of a dumpster fire now.
it
Anyway,
is.
there's still stuff there, but there's still so many like fake listings or people that list things and then they don't monitor their Facebook. Like, I'm gonna put this up for sale, but I'm only gonna check Facebook every 5 days. So, and Emily has a great point. Surfliners are on sale a lot. They did not sell. They just didn't.
I've heard Guild is moving in different directions. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't even remember where I heard that from.
Hmm.
I've just kind of heard that they're possibly shaking things up a little.
I get you. When I think Guild, I don't think Surfliners. I think the semi hollows, and I think their acoustic guitars, and I think that crazy one that I can never remember the name of, but my sister had one that Muddy Waters played for a little while.
Um, yeah, what was that shape called?
Um,
Was it the Jet?
It was the T-Bird. Some people called it a
T-Bird.
T-Bird.
Yeah,
Some people
T-Bird.
call it the S200 Thunderbird. So, um, yeah, that's it. I
Yeah,
love those guitars. I like them a lot. Is Guild owned by Yamaha? Is that who's the?
I believe so. But there's been a lot of swapping around with that lately, so it has been a little hard to keep
Yeah,
track of.
they bought them in
Um,
2023.
but yeah,
Yeah, that's real new. I didn't know that. Um, man.
let's see. Yeah, Yamaha Guitar Group is Ampeg Line 6. Um, let's see. Yamaha Line 6, Ampeg, and then Cordoba Music Group. So Cordoba, Guild,
Yeah.
Humacase, and DeArmond.
Michael
But
has a
those,
great point. I love this. Yes, they did come with a built-in stand. Some of them. Some of the reissues did not have the built-in stand, and it was disappointing.
oh, I can get a Plumes box for $12.
I look. I want to make fun of the people that go looking for boxes for their pedals, but I've been that guy, so I can't. I refuse to make fun of people for it.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes,
Why?
it's a thing. So it's no, it's a mental disorder. It absolutely is. I'm aware of this. It's this completionist thing. It's this thing you got to scratch to have had it as if you bought it new, even though you bought it used. It's
Right.
why listings with that you can't just say the box is included. If you're selling something, don't just say the box is included. Include the box in the picture. It will sell faster for more money. Yeah. So Doyle says that his wife has a new lower end Yamaha Pacifica. You want to know who I think is making the best, and they've been on the stupid deal of the day lately. The best non-Fender affordable Strat. You want to take a
Non-Fender
guess?
affordable Strat.
Yeah, I'm using the term Strat very loosely. S style guitar. I played one last time I was in Boston in April.
I have no idea.
It's the Nick Johnston. I can't ever remember if
Oh,
it's
the Schecter.
the Schecter. That guitar
Yeah,
is
those are
incredible.
cool. Yeah.
That guitar is super incredible. I highly encourage people to look at those, especially when they show up on the stupid deal of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they use the better Schecter logo on those.
Which
They
is
don't.
which one?
It's the one that doesn't look like it would be a tattoo or a Walmart hardcore T-shirt.
Is it the cursive one? The
Yeah,
one
the
that's
cursive one.
Fendery?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one more Fendery uses the better logo. Because the way things look matters. It just does. Oh, anyway, I'm
Or
I'm
should
not
I,
a, I'm not a Strat person, so
do I want the cat? Do I want to pay? Go ahead and pay full price to get the cat green uh, bees plumes?
oh, dude, you should just message Brian. I bet he'll give you.
Probably should.
Yeah, just message
That's
Brian.
probably the real answer.
Yeah, message Brian. Get the cat green. You gotta do it now. I missed. What color did they put out for EQD Day? Earthquaker Day.
I don't know.
I didn't see either.
I've been like very out of the gear um world. I'm not out. Like I'm still see things, but like if
Yeah,
it doesn't, I don't I don't go looking for it. So if it doesn't cross my feed,
yeah.
then I don't necessarily see it.
I get you. I'm really excited for. I care a whole lot more about Zine art versions. That's right. I did see that. Um, or zine. Um, I typically find myself looking for used stuff, not just for price, but because the stuff I want is stuff that's already been released for the most part. New stuff isn't as appealing to me because it either feels like it's this super pushed like new direction getting crazy, which is fine, that's great, but that's not me, or
Hmm.
it's just a derivative of something that already existed, and I don't feel like I need another one of those things or even need that thing to begin with. But anyway, let's talk about this one. Here's a good one. Why don't we talk about guitar speakers more? More talk about amps, etc. I'm going to try to make this a little more. There we go. Um. Anyway, Steve, why don't we talk about guitar speakers?
Because we're dumb. Not you and I'm saying like in general, I think it's something where there's not a reason not to. It's actually a really obvious thing. I know there's been a few YouTube videos on it,
Mm-hmm.
but my favorite one, the I think the two people who have probably pushed this narrative, calling anything a narrative, is that like derisive? It
It
feels like
feels
I'm
like it. Also,
like
technically, if you heard anyone talk about it, it was a narrative.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I know the person who, um, I thought there was a different video. I'm looking through. So Glenn Fricker has pushed this pretty hard.
Yeah.
But the one that I'm thinking of is um, Kyle Bull's video. That was called like "Don't upgrading your guitar speakers is dumb. Here's why." And then he
Oh.
actually made a video after it called "I was wrong about upgrading guitar speakers," but I haven't watched that one. Um, but
I love when people are willing to come back and say, nope, 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 I was wrong. Never mind.
the core of his like replacing guitar speakers is dumb video
Hmm.
was you shouldn't replace guitar speakers, you should just replace the entire cab. And of course, like as
Mm.
like a metal, like hard rock metal guy, like Kyle's very much in the 4x12, the last bastion of
Yes, he is.
4x12 users. Um,
Yeah, I sold
but
mine.
there is that whole thing to be said, and even like like okay, so my experience with large cabs um are pretty it's pretty limited.
Yeah.
But I did no, I was in when I one of the bands I was in with Ryan owned a Fender 4x12. I think one of us for a stretch, I'm trying to remember, this was almost 20 years ago. Um, one of us at some point owned a Carvin 4x12, I think. And
Yeah.
then for a very short, like month or so, I owned a Mesa 4x12. And the Carvin 4x12 was good. The Fender 4x12 was just total dick. And the Mesa 4x12 made my Crate GFX 15 sound like the boutiquest freaking tube amp that you could find on the market at
Really?
that time. Yeah, because it's this thing that I've talked about a lot on the show too. The biggest weakness of small solid state amps and solid state amps in general is that they skimp everywhere. So if you
Yeah.
take a freaking $100, even a 15-watt $100 amp and plug it into, at the time, what's a Mesa Boogie 4x12 go for now?
A
Like
lot of money.
$1,500 for a standard
Yeah.
rectifier. This was an older one.
Uh
I'm
huh.
looking at at B's Music Shop. This is one with G1280s in it, which is not what I had.
Yeah.
The one that I had the was a 4x12 with black shadows in it.
Hmm.
There's one at a place called Roadhouse Vintage for $1,500. It looks like they are normally $800 on Reverb. The one that I had one ripped speaker in it, and it still was louder than any other guitar cabinet I've ever heard, uh, using all the same amps.
Yeah.
Like we actually used it. We were using 4x12s for PA speakers because
Hmm.
that's what we had. So we were, and so it's a pretty good one to one. Now, were we matching impedances? I don't remember any of that stuff. There could be things like that. But what I can tell you is that the Fender 4x12 sounded anemic. And when you
Yeah.
think about the history of Fender, it should be no surprise that their 4x12s sound bad.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's not who they are. That's not
yeah.
where they've devoted their resources and research. So when I bought my 4x12 for my Marshall, I went down a whole rabbit hole. Later, Emily. Um, I went down a whole rabbit hole of like, because Marshall makes so many 4x12s, and I wanted a Marshall to
Hmm.
match the head, right? But I knew I could change the speakers if I really wanted to. I really didn't want to. I wanted to get it right from the beginning. But there's like, when you start looking at it, there's the MG series 4x12s
Right,
that have
right.
crap speakers in them. I'm just going to be honest, they're crap speakers, y'all. They just are. And those cabinets are not very good. The wood is not wood. Um, the Then they've got the 1960A and B, which is their
Hmm.
just standard line, which sound fine, but they've got these 75-watt Celestion speakers in them, and I wanted something that actually kind of the speakers broke up just a little, you know. And so then
Does
you
the
get it.
19 what's the 1968? Are those yeah, the G12 T75s.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's it. But then I discovered they make a 1960 TV, a 1960 AX, and a 1960. Oh, there's the AX, the TV, and the A something or other. And those end up with, I think the TV and the AX have
Hmm.
25-watt Celestion greenbacks.
Oh,
And the other one has the 30-watt Celestion greenbacks. I ended up going with the AX because I found a deal on one and I like the sound of those 25-watt greenbacks, and all of those cabinets sound incredibly different. I did not think they would sound so different when I started looking for one, but
hmm.
even the AX and the TV that are same speakers, but the cabinet is bigger on the 1960 TV. It's a taller cabinet and just a
Right.
little wider, sounded different. So we should be talking about speakers, but I think we don't because we're at a point where there's not as much focus on amplifiers anymore. Unless you're
That
in
that's
certain circles.
that's fair. So what I was going to say, and where I was going with the story earlier is, torn speakers, all this stuff. The one thing with that Mesa cabinet is it was heavy as hell.
Hmm.
I heard somebody say recently in one of the premieres, we were talking about, I don't remember how we were on the topic, but it was talking about using MDF in cabinet construction. And maybe there are some guitar cabinets that were good with MDF, but at least in that era,
Yeah.
that Mesa cab I had, that's, I want to, I can't speculate on the thickness anymore because it was too long ago, but it's like ply birch or birch
Yeah.
ply, which
Yep.
is a completely, basically it's a completely different construction material compared to like Crate or Fender using MDF.
Hmm.
And I that's one of those spots where I feel like it really made that so much better. And
Yeah.
actually, so Ryan's talked about, I believe he still has it somewhere in his garage, but I took this Crate, it was a Crate GFX 212. The amp had been taken out of it because the guy who owned it just wanted to use the amp for like a recording interface, basically.
Yeah.
So he was using like the headphone out to run into a recording rig. So basically, like almost like turning it into a rack. And then he took, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, you want these speakers? Like just have it, whatever." Um, and so I took that cabinet and then tore the back off of it, and I just figured like where the space where the amp is, that's my port now, so I don't need
Yeah.
it open back in the back. I've got one in the front, and I slapped like um, uh, I think it was 5/8 inch birch ply on to cover the back, drilled a hole in it to install the speaker jack, and called it a day. And that thing, I really think that that's kind of like the secret sauce on that cabinet, and the reason why it's kind of like worked for Ryan for as long as it
Sounds
did, and
better
it
than it
always
should.
sounded. and yeah, it sounds better than it should. Is the rest of it's MDF, but it's got the closed back portion
Mm-hmm.
where you're getting that. I think you're getting that straight back, and then
Right.
it's hitting that and then bouncing straight forward through that port. And I mean, I don't know. It always sounded good, but
I had a old Crate Vintage Club 50. Do you remember
mm,
those
yep,
amps? They were like the most affordable tube amp you could buy at one point, especially used. Well,
yeah,
the amp portion did what the amp portion inevitably does in those and dies, right?
yeah.
So I ended up pulling the amp out of it, and I bought super cheap because at the time this is when I had no money, like no money. I bought an MTS, the Carvin MTS 3200, the head, which is also not a great amplifier either, but it was fine. It could do the job, and I got it for like $200, right? So I took that head and I put it on top of the cabinet of the Crate, the 212 cabinet that was now empty with just speakers, and that's what I used to play organ through in a band that I was in.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if it
it
works,
sounded
it
great.
works.
Yeah, it sounded great for that. But
And that
also
was
I like
the
gritty organ sounds, so
was the VC50. Is that a 2x12?
yeah. Let me see. They may have done it in a couple of configurations.
Yeah. Apparently, it looks like they did a 2x12 and a 1x12, and possibly a 3x12.
Yeah, so they had it was the VC 5212, and then they have the VC 52 508, which was smaller. I don't know. I used to know more about that line. I think they were good sounding amps. They weren't spectacular. They weren't great. They were definitely not well made for like the long haul. But they sounded pretty good for what they were. A
Yeah.
common failure was the effects loop because it had a TRS jack as the
Mm,
effects loop, and it would just break.
right.
If you never, even if you never
Oh,
plugged
okay.
anything into it, it would just break, and suddenly you wouldn't have any sound. You'd have to go in and internally jumper or rewire it to get past that. It was
They made
dumb.
it was a 310 that they
Oh yeah,
made.
yeah, I remember that.
So,
I loved those things. Like those were some of my early experiences with tube amps. You know.
uh,
Uh.
Myrna Bean made this post, which is another thing that again doesn't get talked about.
Uh huh.
He says I put a higher SPL speaker in an SE3 that allowed me to be loud enough for a band environment. Significant speaker swap, and that's a thing again that does um about is and this is a thing where okay, you got an AC15, it's not getting the job done because you got your Wharfdale or whatever stock speaker into it. If you
Mm-hmm.
go and just slap a blue into it, you will like basically double the loudness of that amp.
Yep. Or so on an episode of The Truth About Vintage Amps, they recently started talking about the VHT Special 6, a little
Mm-hmm.
6 watt amp, and I love that amp. I'm going to buy another one at some point because I want to do some tinkering in it. Because there's some really smart things in there with the circuit. But when VHT
Yeah,
made that amp, their point of making that amp was to create a modders platform. Like they wanted you to have an amp
right.
that is point to point wired, simple. You can go in, do whatever you want, tinker to your heart's delight. And I had one. I actually let a buddy of mine use it at a bunch of blues jams to play harmonica through, and it sounded great for that.
Hmm.
But what I found out recently on that episode, because the guy who designed it, or one of the guys who designed it, wrote into the show and said, "Oh, let me answer this question about the VHT." Apparently, when they designed that amp, they designed it when they did all their testing, all their tone shaping, they designed it to be played with a Celestian Gold. But then
Oh,
he said, but we were trying to get it under a certain price point, so we obviously couldn't put Celestian Golds in there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I now really badly want to buy one and put a Celestian Gold in it and see how good it can sound. So
I'm
they're
not
not.
as familiar with the Celestian Gold
It's
300.
it's a blue, but it's a 50 watt instead of a
Okay,
15
the
watt.
50 instead of the
It's
gotcha.
the voicing is roughly the same. It's just bigger.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had
I
a
knew it
few
was
golds
something
over
like
the
that.
years.
I couldn't remember what direction.
Yeah, I really like the gold. I think I think it and the it's definitely one of my like top five favorite speakers. I don't want to try to put it and say it's my best and then put a bunch of qualifiers, but I'll just say it's one of my top five favorite speakers.
And now there's a Celestian Ruby, which I've never seen.
The only reason I know the Ruby at all is because early on, I think the guys at that pedal show had a 2x12 with rubies in it, and
Hmm.
they said no experience here, but they say that they're really dark speakers.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and what they'll do is if they have really bright amps like Marshalls with the bright cap where you haven't
Hmm.
removed it, they'll run those into that cabinet and it tames the brightness.
Gotcha.
But that's all I know. That's you've now fully exhausted my knowledge of the Ruby speaker.
Yeah.
But
A lot of those like vintage or not vintage, but like the whatever stock OEM Celestian or
hmm
Eminence or Jensen or whatever that a lot of these amps have in them, they're just like they're just not good.
I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of head and cab setups instead of combo setups. I know it's an extra thing to carry, but one of the reasons I like it is because you can experiment with speakers much more easily than in a combo.
Right.
Because you don't have to even change the speaker necessarily. You just get a different cabinet and try it out. That's why
Mhm.
I have multiple cabinets around the house. I've got 112s and 212s, and I've got 410s, and I don't have a 110 because I kind of hate the sound of one 10-inch speaker. Um, but I probably need a 210 cabinet sitting
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, not because you just, need an extra dinner table in your
Yo, my no that stuff doesn't even. Wife won't let me use or amps as furniture. Even though I have plenty of amps to use as furniture, it'd be fine. Mojo Tone does have good speakers. Uh,
yeah.
all right, I think we've kind of exhausted speakers a little bit. Oh, I did want to mention this. Sassy birch plywood has no voids in it. Birch plywood can be void free. It is not necessarily void free by default. Um, but I do know that because of the war, the Ukraine-Russian war, void-free birch is a little harder to get because a lot of the Baltic birch that was used for high-end cabinets, especially, comes from Russia. So,
Hmm.
anywho,
I'm
all
out of
right.
coffee.
Are you out of coffee? That's what you were drinking.
Out of coffee.
I assumed you were drinking like a stout or something. I'm
No,
almost
it's
out of
coffee.
coffee.
I made it in my Keurig.
Oh, nice. Oh, Keurigs. Man.
Uh,
Yeah, we had that.
okay. So I know you've been talking about your threadsing. I listened to your your copper sound episode yesterday.
Uh huh.
I knew this was gonna stir up threads when I posted about Keurig. I knew
Yeah.
it was gonna stir up threads.
It man did it.
I did not expect 74,000 views
Look, you
on
got
that.
way outside of the guitar algorithm with that one.
Um,
you left guitar space and you went into general.
yeah, that was kind of nuts, and was definitely not expecting it. Which means I need to find some other things to talk about that are outside of that. I mean, like every coffee is universal, man. I just think that's my take on that.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel that far out of the guitar space because of what was like Walrus, was it Walrus or Old Blood Noise that used to have the coffee show? I feel like it might have been Old Blood.
I don't know. Um,
Um,
five
Coffee and Riffs, Old Blood Noise Endeavors.
548 replies to that one. Holy
Yeah,
cow! You stirred
so
up the
done.
hornet's nest.
Yeah, so Old Blood Noise used to do these like 10-20 minute videos where they would just sit there and they haven't done any in like a year,
Right.
but like they did one called Coffee and Bliss, and Joel and John Snyder from EAE and Brady from Old Blood Noise.
Uh huh.
Um, I think Dan's uh, YouTube channel is in some ways has kind of replaced it, but I don't know if replace isn't the right word, but um, so I don't know. It was like a whole series. There was a guy that I met years ago. What his I forget his Andrew, is that his name? But he runs a coffee roaster in Los Angeles, and he's a
Oh.
guitar player. That guy I met at NAMM through kind of the same group of connections. I forget his last name, but his name's Andrew. Mad Lab Coffee. If I ever get into like small brewing, if I ever really get back, not small brew, but like buying like high end small batch, I'm probably just gonna order all the stuff from Mad Lab at least to
Yeah.
start out, because they're like really good.
I used to
And
order.
Andrew's a good dude.
Is it Death by Coffee? No, no.
Death
Death Wish
Death,
Coffee. Death
Death
Wish.
Wish Coffee.
Yeah, I used to get Death Wish.
Is that the black bag?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
yeah, it's all the typical heavy metal monikers, and I loved it. Michael, I use a reusable pod for my coffee, so I actually buy like good beans, or I usually just buy pre-ground now, but there was a time when I bought like beans and ground them myself, but I just don't have that kind of time. Um, Especially when I was doing French press, because you needed to be bougie if you're doing French press. That's the way it is. Um, but I buy, good coffee grounds, and then I use a reusable pod, and that's my way of being a
Mm.
little more environmentally friendly. Because not to be, total tree hugger, that's one of my worries about the Keurig is that making all of those little individual one-use pods is real bad. That's a lot of freaking plastic, and so I'm
Yeah.
trying to do my part to cut that a little bit.
I use the reusables as well. Um, but with I was thinking about it, and normally like this morning, I people are like, oh, do pour over, do this, do that, whatever. Um, and I kind of just thought, and they're like, oh, you should get a kettle, which I'm like, I don't even own a kettle. Where do you think I live? The UK? Like,
Dude, get a kettle. I own a
what's a
kettle.
kettle? We used to own a kettle for when we were making tea, but I haven't owned a kettle in a long time. Um, I also don't own a French press anymore because I broke mine,
Oh
but
no.
it like shattered and it was a big old mess, and so I just didn't uh, replace it.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I don't really have time to boil water to do pour over, and then I realized like I eat oatmeal like 2 or 3 days a week. I'm at the stove stirring oatmeal. I can heat water.
Yes, you can heat. What you need to
So
do. So at work, I bought one of these because there's only a couple of coffee drinkers at work, and most other people are tea drinkers. So
mhm.
I bought us an electric kettle, and
Oh, okay.
it just sits on its little stand, and it will boil an entire like liter, or maybe more than, maybe a liter and a half of water inside of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you flip the switch on. It's got an auto shut off as well after a certain amount of time. It's really, really good. It's been really helpful. You should get one of those. I should get one of those for the house. I need to buy one. They're not expensive. I think we paid like $15. Not a
No.
big deal. And then you can use it for tea or coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I don't think about like going to a thrift store to get a kettle. That's
Yeah.
seems really obvious.
Yeah, it does seem really obvious. I love this though. So do we all get old and now those microbrewers are roasting coffee? Yes,
Yeah.
that is exactly what has happened. Um, Eric over at the Fret Files podcast has a sponsorship with a coffee maker, Apex Coffee.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so if anybody wants to get them, I think Eric has a discount code. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, Apex Coffee Roasters out of Waco, Texas. I know nothing about them other than Eric Daw is sponsored by them. So If they're problematic in any way, just know that I do not endorse their problematic ways. I don't know. I just know they make coffee.
That reminds me, we've been getting hit up. Maybe this is a little too behind the scenes. We've been getting hit up from somebody from what's the company? What a dumb. What's the company that does the thing? From StuMac
Oh, really?
about some kind of new product they're doing.
Oh.
Um, but I don't know. I need to circle back with Ryan on that
Well, let me know.
because
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see the folks from StuMac next week, so I can ask
and
questions if you need
it's
them.
actually a product that's more in our category range. I don't know that we've ever worked with them before,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it
I
seems
know
like
that
it
they
could
are
be really
starting
good.
to sort of like push into the creator space a little more.
Mm,
So that's
hmm.
good. I like that they're doing that. I think there's a lot of really good folks doing the content that will really lead to them. I know that uh, Dipped in Tone was working with Stu Mac through Premier Guitar at one point. So yeah, I can't. Stu Mac is expensive.
Yeah,
I can't justify spending that much on some of their tools for something I'll use like one time,
sure,
ever.
sure. Well,
I
that's
do.
where I need to I think I talked about this before. Yeah, Brad, I mortgaged my house to get a StuMac fret and file.
Yes.
Uh, I talked about getting one of the like it's like $170, I think, but it's like the setup station from Music Nomad.
Oh yeah.
It's like 170, 180, something like that, but it's like pretty much comes with almost everything. There's a couple things that it doesn't come with. It's annoying because I will say Music Nomad sells two kits
Mm-hmm.
and there's a few overlapping parts. One of the kits is like I think $100 and the other one's like $180, but they have a little bit of overlap and a little bit of like not overlap, and the not overlap part is the part that is like, yo, like really? Like
Yeah.
I want the $180 one, but the $100 one has this one part. And so now I'm sitting here like trying to figure out like how do I get, would I actually be better off getting the $100 one and then just buying one or two pieces from the more expensive one and adding that on. That's I think one where maybe I need to reach out directly to them and see. Well, what it really comes down to is that I'm in this chicken or the egg space. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like where I need to finish clearing out my garage. It's also probably it's 105 degrees in my garage every day,
Yeah.
so
Don't mess with that right now.
I don't really spend too much time thinking about cleaning it out. I can't really any coal in there for more than like 10 minutes because it just is way too hot. And but it's like, do I? My motivation is to get enough room on my workbench to set up a guitar cleaning, string change, all that stuff station in there. Um, my workbench in there stretches the entire length. Like
Oh.
I shouldn't say my workbench
Uh huh.
because it hasn't been my workbench yet.
Oh, it's
Um,
there when you bought the house, kind of thing.
Yeah, but the workbench that's there spans the entire length of one side of the garage.
That's a
So it's
lot.
basically it's like one full car length of workbench. And there's a pegboard wall already there. There's no hangers on it. They took all the hangers, but they left the pegboard, so that's there. But it's a matter, and also like my bike is hanging from the ceiling in the middle of it, so it's not totally usable space. But it's like, do I start installing a camera mount and these different things that I have for my vision there? And then is that going to drive me to get all the cleaning done, or do I need to clean? Like, do I basically it's
Oh, I see
like
where you're
it
going.
it's the whole guitar thing, like, oh, when I finally get the Les Paul, then I'll start writing all these great riffs. It's like, no, you just start writing great riffs on whatever guitar you have, and then someday you can afford, someday you just buy the Les Paul, but you'll already
Yeah.
have all these great riffs. And that's where I feel like I'm kind of stuck with the garage. uh, and only being home uh, really, like, I guess the weekends I don't want to work, and then my work days I'm only home in reasonable hours, like a couple days a week. But
Yeah.
that's kind of like where my head space is a little broken around that whole thing. But yeah, it's
So
kind of
so
nuts.
well, let's talk you through that real quick though. Let's pause there. What's the ultimate end goal?
Um, well, so we
Busted, Amanda. Um,
Um, so I think the ultimate end goal is, like I said, I want to put a camera station there. I want to,
mhm.
if I have a guitar workstation that easily, because especially like with the music nomad thing, because it's this neoprene mat, that neoprene mat, oh, it's also like a perfect soldering surface.
Yes, it is.
So,
I have one of those like big gaming mouse pads that like you
oh
put your
yeah, yeah,
keyboard everything on. That's what I use for all of my soldering and like guitar work and yeah.
yeah. Hi, Amanda. So so basically, the idea is like if I put a camera mount on the cabinets above where I think I would set this up in,
Uh-huh.
then I could just film some basic, like, not walk through.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, and this is, I'm going to attach the R9 4.7K resistor here, like nothing like that. Just things that would end up being 3x 4x time lapse, and then maybe I don't even demo the pedal, I just record the building and give it to Ryan, and then we combine it all at the end. I don't
Mhm.
know. um but think something like in that kind of idea.
Yeah.
um and I know people have put out the idea, like, oh, like, I've seen this a few times in premiere chats and whatnot, that like, oh, Steve should totally buy the Wampler course and do a review of it. And I think you've talked about doing something
Yeah.
like that too.
Yeah, I've got the Wampler
um
course. I just haven't been able to spend time on it.
so that's the kind of thing that's like, you need the space. And Michael, I 100% agree. That is also part of the problem that we have, is we have a lot of books and we have a lot of kids toys. The kids toys are a little harder to get rid of, but it's like some of the books are like, they're just college textbooks from like 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And some of them, I'm looking at them, I'm like, well, I really don't want to get rid of my copy of J.S. Mills on Liberty, as if I read it and it
Right.
was assigned to me. I didn't even read it the first time. Why would I read it now?
I've got so many books like that. I've got so many books that are on my to be read list. And I'm not getting around to them, and I need to work on that. I really need to fix that. I say you need to just clean the space and start using it and do that first. Just
Yeah.
clear the space. I'm looking at these tools over on Sweetwater, which, by the way, if you want to buy these, I believe 60 Cycle Hum has a Sweetwater affiliate link. I do
We
not, so
do.
use theirs. Maybe I'll generate. Are they on Reverb? I have a Reverb affiliate link. You can use that. Um, but they make, I didn't realize they made now a full 16 piece diamond coated nut file set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much the Stumac nut file set is, but I'm pretty sure it's more expensive than $240, which is what this one is.
Hmm.
But then they've got the one you're talking about, the ultimate at home guitar and bass workstation.
Yeah. So I think that's the one that I'm leaning towards eventually getting, but I'm
Yeah.
going between that one and
And the $160 one,
and
you're
just
going.
the keep it simple stupid one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Because the
hundred
keep
and that's 160 versus 190.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that's and it shouldn't be attractive, but the thing that's attractive on that one is the keep it simple stupid one has a bunch of like all of like the truss rod adjustments and stuff.
Yeah, I
So
get you.
that's one where, because I have a truss rod, one of the things that's been killing me, and it's such a simple, it's like a $10 solution. I'm just, again, like, I'm really bad at buying things I need.
Yeah.
Um, my Taylor Big Baby is like warping to being unplayable,
Oh,
and it's because I can't adjust the truss. I apparently lost the truss rod tool somewhere. I'm sure it's in a bin, and so it's like, what's a Taylor. I'm not going to buy it right now because why would I?
Yeah.
Be helpful if I can spell. A Taylor truss rod wrench is $10, or the Music Nomad version of that is $25, and that one comes with feelers, so you can like actually figure it out, or you
Mm-hmm.
can just get the quarter-inch truss rod wrench by itself for $13. So $25 at most, plus taxes and whatever shipping,
Yeah.
uh, will put me in a position to fix this guitar. I'm staring at it right now. Am I going to buy it right now? No. I'm going to refocus back on what we're talking about, which is my inability to buy things that I need while
Amanda just
sitting,
volunteered to help you clean your house.
while refreshing the Wampler website every hour so I could buy this.
Yeah, so I just posted on Threads. My most recent post on Threads. It's doing well, which I'm glad. But I said guitar gear advice: stop buying gear for hypothetical scenarios you're not experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a lot of me pointing at myself. Um, let's talk about a couple of those scenarios, because this very much ties in. Why are you going to buy all this stuff if you're not currently doing any of the work you're talking about doing with it, or
Right.
vice versa?
Well, it's like
Like,
if I buy the $160 or $190 kit from Sweetwater,
uh-huh.
it will arrive in a box, and I will not open the box until the garage is ready to accept the box,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's like,
But is that going to be the thing that spurs you on to cleaning it up and doing the thing?
no.
Yeah, because like one comment was, and I loved this comment on here, and I'm gonna go through a few of these just because I love this. Um, here it was from Chris Brooks. There are so many fly rigs that have never seen a plane. Why are you building a freaking fly rig, quote unquote, when you don't gig?
Oh,
Like,
I know people who build like, and I don't get it. I really was it 2 NAMMs ago? Ryan and we've talked about the base castle, and you've been in the chat where we talked
yeah,
about the base castle. They had so much gear there. Some of it was personal. Some of it was I don't know how it all got there. I don't know if they
right.
shipped it to themselves.
Or if it was
I
rental or
had
loaners or yeah,
yeah, I know some of it was or if they or if they had hookups with companies so they just showed up and picked up all this stuff at NAMM. I really have no idea. It was explained to me once. I could not keep track of it. But I know people who, and we talked about this last year, like or I guess back in January, um, should we bring gear? Do we want to bring gear to NAMM? And now we're talking
yeah,
about it for 2025. Do we want to bring gear? Gear could just be, I've got an HX Stomp. Ryan has an HX Stomp, so we could pack those up really easily. A couple guitars, some headphones, and whatever, and and just bring that stuff. But I know people who show up and are like, yeah, that they drive down from wherever or drive in from wherever, and they're like, yeah, I got a deluxe reverb and my 16 pedal board if you want to come check it out in my hotel room. And I'm like, you brought that much stuff?
yeah.
And some of
I
these people fly with it, and I'm like, okay.
Meanwhile, I'm in the chat being like, I'm telling folks, rule number one: no guitars in the NAMM house.
Yeah.
Because I mean, no amps, no guitar amps in the NAMM house. Because the last thing any of us wants after being on the NAMM floor all freaking day is to go back to the space, whether hotel room or Airbnb, and hear more loud guitar playing, because we've kind
Yeah.
of heard a lot of it at that point.
I will say the bass castle thing was cool because it was just kind of like a jam session, and it was a big enough space that, like, if you didn't want to be there, you just go out on the back patio and drink or just chill, eat your
Yeah.
food kind of out in the back. But
Like
yeah, it was
like a couple of
definitely
acoustic guitars is fine. Like if people want
no.
to
I
bring
mean,
like an acoustic guitar.
they had a drummer.
Oh no.
No, this was full. I mean, it was cool because I was there, and they're like, Bully was showing me a bunch of things, and he goes, "Let's just see how like your groove is." He's like, you don't have to play anything fancy, but he's like, he told the drummer, he's like, lay down like a funk beat, so like just kind of like a funk shuffle-y kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, just play whatever. He's like, just play one note. He's like, just play one note, but like try to feel the drums. And so he's like, so I did that, and that's where he's like, yeah, you have the feel, you just have no idea what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, no, that's fair.
This is where you need 4 more hours in the day for practice, right?
This is where I need to, I just don't learn riffs. That's what it comes down to.
I'm bad about that too. So just know that I completely can relate. I'm real bad about just accepting my noodling and ridiculous, like I'll do these weird like permutation exercises where I'm just doing variations of like this one little lick. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's fine. I should probably learn some songs.
Right. Well, the permutation of the little riff too, that's very much like the Molly Miller school.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like a big thing when you actually pay attention to some of what she's doing, and this is what she really emphasized in the what I forget, was it pickup music? I think it was pickup music.
Yeah.
Uh, that she where she pushes like, look, like, you know, a lot of her, she talked about how like a lot of her riffs are just actually three notes in a pentatonic, forward and reverse.
Yeah. Which is totally viable. It's a way of building phrasing.
Yeah.
And if that's what gets you going and gets you started, that's the way to do it. And then you build from there. Um, yeah, I need to. In fact, I've got a lot of practicing I need to do today. I'm playing in this. I've got this duo gig coming up, and we're playing a bunch of songs I don't actually know that well. And I'm like, I
Mm.
could just strum these chords, but I probably should make sure that there's not like some identifiable riff or lick or rhythm that I need to make sure I'm hitting exactly right or anything like that. But
Yeah.
oh
I like this comment. I think you posted already, Phil's the entire guitar
yeah,
industry is built of dreams and procrastination.
it's true.
Uh yeah,
Also
I have a
Michael
pedal
Krause.
wall. Yeah.
Are,
And then
are,
the thing that Brad says too, that's a thing that I tried to start on like 15 years ago when I was in my condo. I did that for a couple people. Just doing, I wasn't doing like very minimal setups, but doing a lot of like electron, like pickup installs. Uh, I just do a pickup install, a clean, and a string change, and not even really attempt like um, uh, attempt like a full setup, like
yeah,
nothing fancy. Just, it's amazing how many guitars will play better if you just, hit them with some Dunlop 65 fretboard cleaner and a credit card.
yeah.
I've never been brave enough to go full razor blade.
I've done the
Uh,
razor blade, but only on certain guitars. It's really as long as you've got a light touch. You just got to have a light touch with it because you're not trying to dig in at all. You're trying to literally
yeah,
scrape the very
yeah.
top layer off of it. I think learning to do your own setups is way more important than buying that next pedal or guitar or whatever. Learn to set your own guitar up. I
Mhm.
It blows my mind the number of people that take their guitars to guitar shops to be restrung.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
I
insane.
still can't wrap my mind around the idea that there are people out there playing guitar, and I don't mean the people who just own a guitar. I mean people who play guitar who don't know how to change their own strings. What? Also, Amanda, this is way more accurate than it should be. Stop. It's true. It's the the equivalent of the unmarked windowless van that just says like free ice cream on the side of it or something like that. This is how you abduct guitar players. The problem is then you have to deal with guitar players. So I
Oh, that's
mean,
rough. That's
yeah,
rough.
do the thing.
Um, we are fully in gear summer, which
Oh
is to
yeah,
say we're in the slowness. I don't even. I mean, I guess Quilter just kind of launched that thing. Um,
They did. What
But
else has come out? Okay, y'all in the chat, tell us what has come out in the last 2-3 weeks. Because I really can't even. I know stuff has. I can't think of it.
yeah, I'm sure there's stuff. Uh, I'm sure there's stuff. Well, they just, I mean, I guess it's been more than a couple weeks.
Yeah.
There's some new Revoltas, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, these are odd.
Let's.
Some
Oh
old
yeah,
odd
no, we talked
shapes.
about these because they're ugly.
I don't think we've talked about them.
I thought we
They're
did.
they're new.
The
This
the
article's from 2 days ago. The Quadrata, Surfrata, and Zenyatta.
Yeah, those came out they actually came out a few months ago, like two,
Oh,
3 months
really?
ago.
I've not. This is the first I feel like I've seen them. Um, I'm not going to look at them too hard.
Yeah.
One of
Now,
them is basically the Fellows guitar, which is also a Meteora. One of them
uh-huh.
is oddly Griffin-esque,
Yep, yeah, see that one.
um, and then one is kind of a more awkward take on a modern.
Now, here's one. This is I didn't know about this guitar from Revolta. Hold on, I'll actually share it. Um, we haven't shared screen once. Um,
No, we haven't.
which is weird.
Also, I think Stevie Mac is maybe confusing you with Philip Conrad.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know which Philip he's because I that was definitely not me. I wish it was Stevie, but that is not me. Let me see. Steve, we do this every 3 weeks, and I can never remember how to share screen. Oh my gosh, I did it! All right, so here is the Revolta Duocata Ombra Burst. I actually like this one.
Well, yeah, that's different. The that shape I think makes sense. These are
Yeah,
the
you're talking about. Let me go back. No, new Revolta guitars. You're talking about these.
yes.
Oh my god. Look at the oh. Y'all can't see my face right now, and I'm really glad of that. I I cannot with this. Okay, so I used to own a guitar that was um it was it's a copy or a prototype. Never could find out which it was. I actually think it was a
Oh,
prototype of the
yeah,
Gretsch TK300.
yeah.
And I'm going to pull that up so that everybody can see what I'm talking about. Let's go to image search. We're going to look at this. There we go. That's it. Okay, click here. There we go. I used to own what I think was the prototype of this. They don't normally come with pickup rings. That's an addition this person
Hmm.
has made. Um, and I genuinely thought this was the ugliest guitar ever made.
But now these Revoltas have come out and you've changed your mind.
But now this exists. And I cannot for the life of me figure out what in the hell drugs somebody was doing for this guitar.
Supposedly these are all designed by Dennis.
I
So
know, I know. Look, everyone misses every now and again. And this is a strong miss
ooh.
for me. Like, this one is not nearly as offensive. It's I it's not nearly as offensive, but it is offensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Um are you no, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on this? Because I'm looking
No,
through
I'm gonna stop because
I'm looking through guitar.com and I found an article that I read the other day. I actually read an article. I
I'm
read
so
an
proud. I'm
article.
so proud of you, Steve.
And the reason I read it was because it was talking about Sarah Tudzin, who's from the band Illuminati Hotties,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which is a great band name. But what I didn't know is that she was a producer and engineer and
Mm-hmm.
has worked with like a whole bunch of different artists, including so the ones that the article points out off the top is Slow Dive. She was a producer and engineer on the Boy Genius record, the
Oh, that's
record.
cool.
She was an engineer for I forget who else. But one of the things that she kind of talks about in this article is wanting to get that like 2000s loud. And I think she means something else. But the first thing I thought of when I read that was like, oh no, are we going back to the compression wars?
Hmm.
And I
Hold
don't.
on. Are we? I'm trying to do. So music rotates on like a 30-year cycle.
Yeah.
The 90s, we threw back to the 60s. In the 2000s, everybody started looking at the 70s.
Hmm.
Then we got into the 80s craze, which means we're due for are we in the 90s throwback right now? Is that where we are?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So yeah, we're due for that 2000s throwback.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it's actually gonna be uh, all compression because she talks about being influenced by like that era of Weezer, so it could just mean like bringing back big amps and just wall of sound, but not from a compression standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, because the reality is there are certain artists that like you can't listen to in anything but like complete silence. Like I can't listen to Billie Eilish unless it's quiet
Yeah.
because her music is mixed
There's nuance
quiet.
to it. Well, it's
It's
like
not
when
even nuance; it's mixed quiet. I feel like there's a reverse lack of dynamic range.
oh, I see what you're saying. Like I used to think that about Nora Jones's music. At least that first
Fair,
couple of
yeah,
albums, they were very quiet records, which is totally okay.
yeah.
Um, Sassy, I know you're throwing us links. I can't click it in the software we use. It doesn't give it to me as a hyperlink. Um, I think he's talking about yeah, he's looking at the modern one. Uh,
Yeah.
you know what? Just to cover it, just so that we cover it. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna pull it up. Nobody wants to see me put a pick in my mouth. Sorry. I just they're so awful. I'm
I'm
gonna.
gonna I'm gonna throw this one out too. So
Uh-huh.
Are Revoltas still made?
They're still
Are
made
I mean
by
I guess they're inspected, set up, shipped. Are they made by Eastwood? Are they
yes,
partnered with
they're made
Eastwood?
by Eastwood, shipped to Nashville, inspected there, set up, and then distributed from there.
And so
Okay.
I guess this could very much could be variable. I'm trying to see, is there a good back of the headstock shot in here? No, of
This
course not.
this
These are
whole thing,
$1,700.
yeah, they're real expensive. This whole slanted P90 neck pickup that they then look at the poker chip. They angle it to match
Mm.
that. I can't.
I think
I
that's a nice touch.
I can't.
To,
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate
you want that
this.
to be vertical.
Yes.
You want the poker chip to still be vertical.
At least, yes, because that's the way I'm looking down at it when I'm playing. And also, there's this whole thing with the angle of the edge of the fretboard hitting the pickup. I get what they're going for. It doesn't click with me. Meanwhile,
Michael, according to their website, they are made in Korea or Indonesia.
yeah, yeah, they're made in Korea or Indonesia. These are not American made. On the other hand, I really like the Combinata. I like the Mondata. There's too many Atas. The Regatta. I love all of these models. I really like them.
Yeah.
But then you get to the, oh, what is that?
That's your Gretsch TK300.
That's a fever dream. That just, oof, I can't. Like, lose the pick guard, and because that pick guard's useless, lose it, and I might
That
actually like that.
that pickguard is their nod to Ernie Ball. It's a small
It's,
nod.
it's awful. It's just awful. I, if this speaks to you, I am not trying to insult your taste. These do not speak to me in any
Yeah,
way, shape, or form.
Ian says it's giving Theodore. It at
It does,
100% is.
except that I'm gonna be honest. The Theodore, after I played one in person, grew on me. I did
Mm.
not hate it as much when I saw it in person. I don't like it aesthetically, not tonally. I don't like it aesthetically with the humbuckers instead of the P90s. I think the P90s gave a better look. Tonally, it's whatever you're into, but they aren't as bad as I initially thought they were. We're all aware of how bad Gibson can be aesthetically. I mean, we've all seen the reverse V. Um, that exists. That's a thing. It did exist. I'm pretty sure the reverse V was a guitar of the week from back in the day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it was an experiment. Uh,
A dumb experiment, but it
it
was an
was.
experiment.
We rewatched with some friends. We rewatched Jurassic Park last night, and I can't help but come back to that whole, you were so preoccupied with whether or not you could, you never stopped to think whether or not you should. And like
Yeah.
that's the way I think about some of these things.
Does Guitar Center also have a deal of the day?
Yes, Guitar Center does
Is
a
it,
daily pick.
and it's different
It
than.
it is different. Oh, one time I check both of them every morning. Uh,
Hmm,
one day they were the same. I've
they
seen
were
it
the same.
once. Today's
Daily
daily pick is here. I'll just share it. It's that easy.
headphones,
Headphones.
wireless headphones.
It's the Mackie
Great.
Bluetooth wireless headphones, but they are marked significantly down. So I'm sure they sound
It's
fine, and for $40, I don't think you can go wrong.
potentially could be. There's a lot of questions I think with the Mackie. Is it Mackie Road acquisition deal? What's going to end up happening there?
Yeah, I
I
don't
still
know.
think a lot of personally, for me, I haven't heard anything that makes me think that it's not still getting too weird.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, speaking of things in my garage that like need to do something with, I have a Mackie. Was it the DLZ Creator in
Oh
my
yeah.
garage? That because we didn't switch from Rode to Mackie on that.
Hmm.
Um, and I need to like do a system on it and put it on marketplace or whatever, but I just haven't.
Yeah.
And that
Why
I've had
did
that
y'all end up
since
not switching? I'm curious. Why'd y'all end up not
it's
switching?
it's bigger, it's flow path, and I don't know if it's something it might be something in Ryan's space. I think the power supply on the DLZ Creator, it feels cheap to me. And
Okay.
so Ryan was getting some intermittent clicking, and
Gotcha.
whether or not that was related to if what we couldn't figure out is if it was a problem with the machine or a problem with maybe the power being dirty. I mean, his room is full of LEDs. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know if
true.
he ever tested it with the LEDs not on. Um, but yeah, yeah. Now we need a thing in things in Steve's garage segment. That could be my first viral TikTok, legitimately. And then yeah,
You know,
because there are a lot
I
of
got to
things.
try out the new Rodecaster Pro 2 last year at Fretboard Summit because the
Mhm.
Rode
Oh,
folks
okay,
were
yeah.
there, and I'm really impressed by the Rode 2. I had the Rodecaster. Um, they made it smaller. They gave you more functionality. It's really good.
Yeah.
Um,
Now I'm reading like at least one review of the DLZ Creator, and people, it's definitely a more powerful unit
yeah.
Then the Roadcaster, um,
One.
the road, well, even the Roadcaster 2
Is it
apparently.
really? Okay.
Uh, there's a few people who are like, I've used the RCP and the RCP2. The DLZ, the big screen is big. I actually think the preamps on the Roadcaster sound a little better than the Mackie, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tweaked them. That's just using what the output is from the way ours was set up. Um, I always felt like the DLZ, and then it could have just been tweaking. Like I felt like it was a little hot, a little over compressed.
I gotcha.
Um, but the worst one was the Tascam. We tried the Tascam, and I thought the Tascam was really crispy, and
Yeah.
we couldn't figure out how to dial that crispiness out. I didn't like it because crispiness sounds really good for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it gets
You know what I mean?
fatiguing. It's really fatiguing.
Yeah, when you're trying to record like 2 hour long sessions, it's rough.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it comes across in like the final product, but in the recording session itself, to have that like constant crispiness. I'm really interested in how Ryan says it's not too bad. I'm really interested in how this week's sound, because we ran the air conditioner the whole time.
Oh, really?
And so it's not quiet enough, or it's quiet enough that the noise gate cuts it when nobody's talking.
But when you're
Um,
talking, it's in the
but when you're
background.
talking, you can hear it.
Yeah.
And in the room, it was driving me insane that every time Ryan, it would be like quiet, and then Ryan would say something or I would say something, and I would just exactly that. It wasn't loud, but it was there.
Yeah. I definitely there are some YouTube channels and podcasts that I listen to where occasionally I can hear the air conditioner when they're chatting, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I know how hard your gate's working now, like all
yeah.
the time.
And and maybe it's the kind of thing where it's like maybe I just didn't need to wear. Um, if I wasn't wearing headphones, I wouldn't have even known. Uh, so something you talked about. Let's see. How far in are we? I don't have a clock on
We're
my.
at almost the 2 hour mark. We
The
got a little
guest
time though.
doesn't. The guest doesn't get a clock.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Well, we started on. Well, I started the timer on time, so we're just about to hit 2 hours.
okay. What I was gonna ask is, do you want to talk about Black Friday?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Black Friday for a little bit. We got a little extra time. We'll give a
Yeah.
little lanyap here. It's fine.
Let me go grab my two offenders.
Oh yeah, go do it. Not his two fenders, his two offenders. I really should have brought more coffee in here. I brought a lot of coffee in here this morning, y'all. I should have brought more. Um. Oh, he can't find them. Look at this. The great search. Did
And
you
I
find them
guess
both?
one of them isn't an offender. It just has the vibe of an offender. That sounds creepy.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So Black
That's a
Friday, we
hardcore
talked.
band. Vibe of an offender.
They're Irish vendors. I don't. What does that?
I don't get
I don't.
it.
What does that mean?
I probably said something that tracks with, but I don't remember now.
So let's talk about Black
Oh,
Friday.
they're wait,
What do
Steve.
you want to see on Black Friday?
They're comma or apostrophe fenders, like O'Malley instead. Yeah,
Oh,
look, I beat you to it, Ted. I beat you to it. Um.
figured it
Anyway,
out.
yep, yep. Go ahead. So Black Friday.
Uh, yeah. So I've got a couple pedals here. I don't remember. This one might have been Black Friday actually, which was this one.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's the
can you tell what
JHS
pedal
three
this is?
series. JHS three
Yeah,
series something.
it's the oil can. It's a little
Okay.
dusty. It's been on a shelf. And then the other one that I in my head was a blackout, but I don't think this is actually a blackout. Is the cattle inbred uh, uh, antique Kython, Antichthon,
Anticathon. I don't know how to say that.
Antica? I don't know. It's a word.
Yeah.
But I have those two. because we talked about how, or you were talking about with Alex of Copper Sound, which
Hmm.
was a really fun interview. Um, both the main and the
Patreon
Patreon
episode. Yeah, had a fun time
were
on
a
that
lot
one.
of fun. And just talking about, you guys were talking about how Black Friday is like a lot of brands just get lazy with it and just do
Yeah.
blackouts for Black Friday.
Oh, it's
It's like,
so boring.
here's the 3 new pedals that we released this year, and now they're in blackout.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I
Do
hate it.
do people? I feel like blackouts not a thing anymore. Like, is it still popular? I feel like it's not.
I do. I don't know about it how popular, but it's still a thing. Maris is doing, and this isn't throwing shade at Maris, but Maris is doing blacked out versions of their pedals for their 10th anniversary.
Mm,
Talked about that on the show with them. Um, and they look great. And I realize a lot of people just like plain old black, and that's okay. That if that's what you like, I'm not yucking your yum here. But what I am saying is that Black Friday just being an excuse to do an additional colorway that's also black is
right.
just, it's getting tired. It's just, please come up with something more interesting than that.
Yeah.
Um, I
One of
like
I
people, like, one of the things I like, and he doesn't do it for Black Friday, but he does it for Halloween. One of the things I love is like Zach for Halloween puts out his Positron Collider, which is his positron pedal, but like with some additional functionality. It may be an octave. I don't
mhm,
remember exactly what it is. And his positron's a big muff. It's a big muff circuit. Um,
right.
but he puts that out every Halloween with new art and new, like, it looks a little different. But also, it's a pedal he doesn't release in his regular line. He only puts it out on Halloween.
Yeah.
And
I'm
and
looking at different. Do you remember about a year ago? I guess it was like there's. Oh no, this is way longer ago. This was from 2019. I don't know why I thought it was from a year
oh
ago.
wow.
Um,
That's because
but
basically we still don't realize 2020 through 2024 has existed.
yeah, but it was a bunch of different companies did blackouts,
Hmm.
uh, including the Maris Mercury 7. But one of the comments on it was how when Maris pedals are already complicated, and now you're going to make a blackout version. But
Yeah.
this list, here's some other. This was all. It was a conjunction, I think, between a bunch of different brands and reverb. So also on this list were Maris Mercury 7, Chase Bliss Mood, and Red Panda Tensor, and there was one more on here that I saw.
So all
Um,
hella complicated pedals that you now can't read.
yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, cool. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Because it wasn't hard to read before. Exactly.
I
It's
hate
just
that.
funny.
I hate it. It's like before they changed it, now you can get the black with white or silver writing, but the
Hmm.
Catlin Bread Belle Epoch Deluxe is like
Hmm.
greenish blue writing on this like blue gray background that was just impossible to read. Absolutely impossible. I'm gonna pull it up now. Please, please make the pedals you make legible. Make sure I can read them without needing a magnifying glass or I'm going to go to images. Okay, here we go. Open
Yeah,
image and
take a
new
look at this.
tab. Here we go. Look at this. This is
That's the
actually,
new.
I think this
That's
is
the
the
new one. That's the
newer
old
version.
one, isn't it?
I
This
think
is
this
the
is
newer.
actually the newer version. So the older version, but now they make this version, the black with silver, that I really like a lot.
Yeah.
That looks way better. But like, oh, actually, this version of it shows you really just how hard it can get to read.
Yeah, that's kind of like a soft green
Yeah.
uh sort of thing going on.
Yeah, I did not like it. Also, the knobs are taller than usual knobs, so from certain angles you can't even see past the knobs to get to things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had that one, and I hated it. But this version is stellar.
Yeah, that one's really classy.
That looks like
I'm
it
looking
should.
at who was it earlier that mentioned jam pedals? Ted
Oh yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
jams, Blackout Live. This one, I'm looking at those. Those look kind of interesting because it looks like they are like leather.
So they do a couple of different ones. They do a they don't just do Blackout. They also do a series called, oh, what are they? They are they do a limited run, right? Hey, hold on. Now I'm going to show this. Now that I found it, I'm getting better at this. There's got to be a hotkey that does this faster. It's an act. It actually is leather. It's not just. Oh, do y'all
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
Do they
that's
not
the
have
one
a
I was
back
looking at.
shot of it?
Yeah, there's they
There it is. There's a
whoever
picture.
did this video, the studio rats called
Yeah.
it the gimp suit.
Yes, they did. Paul did. And yeah, they have a. It's a zipper on the back. It's actually wrapped in leather.
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate it. I hate it. Look, I get it. You know what it is? That is guitar player paraphernalia. That's
Yeah.
something designed to
Yeah.
be interesting and a keepsake. It's not meant to be used. I'm just so caught up in I need I buy guitars that are tools to play. That's why I don't mind when
Mhm.
they get beat up. And I don't want a guitar or something that I'm scared to put on a pedal board or to have and get beat up and those kinds of things. So I don't typically buy things like that. I don't know that I have anything that I bought just because I want it to be like a keepsake and look at it.
So broadly, would you say like for Black Friday, colorway changes? You think that's good? That's bad? Just not blackout. You think
Yeah,
blackout's tired?
I think Blackout is tired. It's
Hmm.
fine. If you want to do a new colorway, that's awesome. Do it. But stop just putting out black versions of your pedals. It's boring. It's easy. It's just everyone's done it. Do something more interesting. What I'd like to see instead of Blackout for Black Friday?
Hmm.
Don't do anything on Black Friday. Just don't do anything.
Just be chill. No
Just
sale. No
Yeah,
sales at
no
all.
sale,
No
just be
discount
chill,
code.
and then a week later, put something out.
Hmm.
And
When
like,
everybody's already broke because they spent all their money on Black Friday.
okay, a week earlier, whatever,
There
it
we go.
doesn't matter. Just it's a little done to death. Black Friday is a fake holiday. It's not a day. We decided it was. Um, there's real. It's a celebration of capitalism. That's what it
Sure.
is.
Sure. Black
Do something
Friday is
else.
because you've been Black Friday is I mean, unless you're in the mindset of like I'm gonna buy all of my Christmas presents on Black Friday, it's just painful. So, like then you hit your now you're in your Christmas gift buying and you're already broke because you spent it all on
Yeah.
Black Friday.
Yeah, and the
But
Black
I
Friday deals the last few years haven't even been good.
no, they haven't.
They've just been like 5-10% off. I'm like, I can get that by just liking a bunch of shit on Reverb and wait for somebody to send me an offer.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Black Friday, just the whole colorway thing is tired. The multiple colorways for pedals, um, especially black. But also, I am just getting a little. I get why people do it. I've made enough friends in the industry and I get it. Sometimes the colorways are hey, things are slow right now. We don't have any new products to put out. Let's just do something interesting that sells a few units to pay the bills and
sure.
stuff like that. I get it, but it doesn't speak to me. And that's fine, but the blackout on Black Friday is definitely bad. It's just awful. Do something interesting.
That's the moral. That's the
That's
moral
the
of the
moral.
story.
Be
I well,
interesting.
and to that point, like I think I haven't looked at them too closely. The copper sound pedals Again, I'm kind of just riffing off of the because you just had them on.
Yeah.
So this isn't this isn't personal. Um, the Fusion series is kind of dumb to me.
Uh huh.
But I get it.
Yeah.
Like to me personally, like I, because I'm not really, for no particular reason, I'm just not really in their circle of, there's some brands that you just have never really connected with.
Yeah. I get
So
it.
to me, it's like very weird that like the Foxcatcher is a 5 knob drive boost and the Foxcatcher Fusion is a 3 knob. I don't really know. I don't really know what it's trying to do.
Oh, I get you.
Um, it's not. It's just the overdrive, I guess, with the silicon germanium switch.
Yep.
Um, and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
Uh,
I
but
think it's
I
meant
but
to be a stripped down version, but
right,
Fusion makes you think it's more than that. The
yeah,
word
yeah.
itself.
It kind of feels like it's less than the Foxcatcher, but that's in my head, right? I'm openly saying like that's in my head, and
Yeah.
the fact that they are taking the drive circuit and saying we're going to take the drive circuit and we're gonna change it up a little to make the with the germanium diode or germanium whatever component is germanium, probably diode.
Yeah, I
Uh,
looked at it a little bit ago. What is it that
yeah,
actually changes?
original. Removing the original clipping diodes and replacing them with two distinct clipping devices. You
Yep.
can so it's a silicon
A
is
MOSFET and a
MOSFET
germanium.
transistors, and then the other one is four Ukrainian germanium diodes. Um, so it's very cool that they're doing that. It's not for me, but like that to me, like that's a very simple, like I think limited uh, approach to Black Friday is like take something that you already have, strip it down. Like the more I talk about it, the more I'm convincing myself that it's like really cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Foxcatcher and stripping it down the way they did.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
like
and there's a lot of brands that could do stuff like that.
I think this one, I really liked this move from Keeley, the Halo Core. I
Okay,
They
I'm not
got
familiar with this.
this was so they did a limited release of Halo Cores. They took their Halo pedal, they stripped it down to the most of essential stuff that Andy used on it, right? Instead of all the many options, they stripped it down to 3 knobs that are time, feedback, and level.
Hmm.
There is a switch to go from just plain old quarter note repeats to the halo effect, which I think with Andy is dotted eighth and quarters at the same time.
Oh,
That
interesting.
gives this, it's almost reverb at that point, right? And
Yeah.
and there is a secondary function on all of these knobs, so it's 6 functions on 3 knobs. It is true stereo in and out.
Wow.
Yeah, and they did put it in a bigger enclosure so that they could get top jacks and do stereo in and out. I love this approach. They took something they make, they changed it, I feel like fundamentally, and they made something I was interested in. I
Yeah.
was not interested in the standard Halo because there was just too much to it. This was interesting. I also like that. Look at these knobs. They're
Yeah. What are
interesting.
those knobs?
They're interesting. And so you see how they're you see how they're when I twist it, you see it's like got that I don't know, like Oreo shape, thin in the
Yeah.
middle, bigger on the edges. But then the pointer, that your indicator,
Oh, it goes all the way down.
yeah, it goes all the way down. I love this pedal. I almost put this on a pedal board yesterday, and I still might. I put the Oracle instead on the pedal board, but I might put this on.
I do want to hit this comment
Yeah.
Mike Jones has. I will say I think that's whether it's a limited. Well, if it's a limited colorway and the circuits are the same, yeah, they're probably making something on it. But I do know for a lot of these brands, participating in Black Friday hype is just getting it out there. And I
Yeah.
saw, I don't know if it's still there, but if it's still there, there is a Cower that was owned by Vava. Are you familiar with Vava?
Vaguely.
Uh, that is currently in. Yep, it's still there. It's in the one of the Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Let me share my screen because this is worth, I think, looking at. Um, though the pictures are kind of not great. I told Melissa that I
Let's see.
needed to buy this, but I'm not going to buy this. Um, but it's a used Cower Guitars Starliner Special.
Oh, wow.
This is the Star Trek model. They called the Star Trek model.
Uh-huh.
So it's got like the
Yeah, the
kind
Star
of the
Trek logo at the
logo.
12th
It's
fret.
got
Yeah.
the Enterprise on the pick guard. I believe this is like a galaxy pattern or like a star pattern on the pick guard. It's like a blue to black burst.
I kind of
But
love this.
it's $1,900, man. You're not going to find a cheaper Starliner.
Yeah.
But that said, a lot of people, I think, Doug made a video. He said, "I know, like, obviously, this is a one of one. I know who I made this for." And he mentioned who it was, and it was a artist who goes by the name Vava.
Okay.
Um, and basically he said not to be confused. Apparently, there's also a Chinese rapper called Vava, so not that one.
Okay.
Um, so now I'm trying to find uh,
Oh, I found him.
Vanessa Wheeler. That's her full name.
Okay.
But she's really good. She's kind of in that like Pusheen, like they're people. That's where I think of her from. But she's really good. So apparently he made this for her. She sold it to Guitar Center, and he mentions like, look, I know who this is. I think he said that she contacted him before she sold it. He's like, I understand why. Like, you move on from things. And his point was like, it's there, it's cheap. If you want it, just buy it. Because
Yeah.
to Mike's point where he says, if you sell yourself at 50% on Black Friday, you can still be in the black. You're just gouging the rest of the year. But I think a lot of builders, whether it's guitar, whether it's pedals, whether it's whatever, they are not. Black Friday is a public relations day. Black Friday is your moment to try to hit a viral sale and flood the market.
Yep.
It's not so. Yeah, maybe they're not fully losing money, but being in the black on a unit per unit is different than being in the black as a business, right? So I think a lot of these companies, yeah, they're selling at 50% and they're basically calling the labor free or
Yeah,
near free.
exactly. And what they're
Um,
doing is they're chalking up the lost cost in income to PR money spent on advertising and
exactly,
marketing. That's
exactly.
all it is.
So
They're not
so if
actually going in the black when they sell it at 50% off. They're spending money on PR and marketing.
yeah, so say um I don't know who, let's say Wampler. Wampler probably is actually too big for this to be like a good example.
Right.
But let's just say Wampler, he puts out a Black Friday pedal, he sells 1,000 units in 5 minutes. I mean, the germanium tumnus is the example of this. I would be interested to know, but not interested enough to reach out to Richard, how many regular Tumnus Deluxes they sold the week following the Germanium Tumnus release.
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
want to know if that number moved, you know, and
I'm
and
I'm gonna ask
and
him right now.
and so that's the kind of thing where, I mean, it is like 7 p.m., so maybe you'll actually get a hold of
Yeah.
them. But that's the kind of thing where I think that's where Black Friday plays in, is you have maybe a unique colorway, and all of a sudden you see a small brand and a bunch of pedals that sold on Black Friday showing up on people's boards, and they are going to show up on people's boards right around Christmas. So maybe you get a little money for Christmas, or you get your credit card kickback in January, and you're like, I'm going to buy this pedal, but I'm not going to be able to get the Black Friday colorway that I've been seeing everywhere because it's gone. But like, I'm going to get a different one. And so this is Robot Shlomo. That's exactly this. Black Friday is about volume. It's about moving things that in numbers that they wouldn't move the rest of the year. And I think it's about like we are saying, it's about the publicity of having a hot Black Friday release in the hope that it will drive something into the Christmas season. That's just speculation on my
Yeah.
part. I've never talked to a builder and actually gotten that feedback from them. Probably should. But you know, when you talk to some of these folks and the way that they think, and you just think about the way business moves, like uh yeah, they're breaking even on it. They're breaking even on like the product. I don't think they're actually breaking even on, you know, shop time. Maybe some of these, if it's like, hey, we're selling a bunch of you know, all these pedals. Fender does this in a way, right? Fender does this in a
Yes.
way when the player series went on sale in the spring. There was a lot of talk around various forums where people were saying like, hey, uh, are the player series going on sale? Does that mean player series 2 is coming soon? Like, people knew player series 2 was coming. That was a good guess. Maybe
Yeah.
I guess it's not guaranteed. They could have just killed it. Um, but like, yeah, a lot of people thought that that meant player series 2 is coming in. It kind of starts to build that up. It could be inventory clearance. It could be a
Yep.
lot of different
Well,
reasons
we
for
we've
it.
seen a lot of speculation around the Line 6 world.
Hmm.
Every time the Helix goes on sale, people start speculating Helix 2 or whatever they're actually going to call it. I have been told they're not going to call it Helix 2.
Right.
It will have a different name. But
Yeah,
people speculate and that one's been wrong every time.
yeah,
I'm
that's true.
guessing, I'm going to knock on wood. I'm speculating by the way in that world a new Helix flagship at NAMM 2025. I think it's
I
coming.
feel like that was speculated for 2024 as well.
It was, but I'm feeling I don't know, a 60-40 on this one confidence level.
Okay.
65-35. Last year I was kind of 50-50 on it happening. I'm a little more confident this year, but we'll see. I'm gonna maybe the Yamaha guys will be back at Fretboard Summit and I can ask them questions. But we'll see. I
Guit-
think I asked
Guitar,
Richard the question.
hold on. Guitar Center Asheville.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, is this the one? This is a little different than one of the ones. They
Uh
actually have a Cower Arcturus bass
oh. What?
at Guitar Center Asheville. That's crazy. Those are so rare. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Doug's made a bass in like probably 8 years.
I know because you've been talking about wanting him to do one. And
So that's pretty
it's only
wild.
$1,800.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to figure out if that's a good price. I mean,
If it's rare,
it's too rich for my blood, but
yeah. They're also on you doing 24-month financing on don't go into debt for gear. That's my rule, but still.
uh,
I know. They're still doing used gears. Look at the neck on that thing.
just the back flame. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The picture's terrible, but that's okay.
What's the $76 a month with 24-month financing? But like, what's the interest? Oh, 0%
Zero
interest.
percent interest. Yeah,
Is
zero
there
percent
really?
interest.
There's really no.
It's truly zero interest. It's truly
Hmm,
zero interest.
no, it's a promo fee of 2%.
Oh, interesting.
So
That's
it's
still
seventeen
really
ninety nine times 0.02. So it's that's not that's still only an additional $36.
give to. Oh yeah, that's real tempting.
So for $77 a month.
Yeah, for 2 years.
But then I could have also said the same thing about the Star Trek guitar. The Star
You
Trek
could have.
guitar is
You're right. Same thing.
$79 a month. I'm very anti credit cards,
I
getting a
don't blame
credit
you. I
card
don't blame
just
you.
for this, but
I know. It's something to
that's
think
just my
about.
headspace. I could afford it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I could afford it. I could probably make it work, but I really
Well, then the caveat is you go ahead and buy this, and then you're like, I've got this Mackie podcaster thing to sell, and I've got this other stuff to sell, and then you
Yeah,
pay it off early.
yeah, that's fair. Um,
All right, I think we've
I
killed
feel
it.
I feel tired.
Yeah, me too. I
It's
feel
getting,
tired.
yeah, Ted Jackal. I could make it work. Does get dangerous. Um,
It does get
let
dangerous.
me, if you can hold down for like 2 minutes, I'm gonna go grab something out of my garage because we mentioned it.
Okay.
Just give me like a minute, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so I'm going to hold it down here. We're going to talk about a couple of things. Uh, Make sure that you hit the like button on this video. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you are watching this video on the 60 Cycle Hum channel, thank you. If you could, go over to 40 Watt Podcast and like that video as well. We simultaneously post this video to both channels. It's sort of our weird channel collab that we do. So that would mean a whole lot to me if you could. There's going to be different links. Steve goes back and does, responsible things like putting links in the description. So make sure if you're watching this after the fact, go over and check the links in Steve's description. I'm going to maybe try to put links in mine, but who knows. Support, keep the show going. Obviously, we do this without Ryan because Ryan gets enough video time. This is me and Steve's time to do some things and have some fun. So it is much, much appreciated. Look at that. Held things down. All
Yes,
right.
the wheel of gear rationalization
It
does
does. It
turn
really does.
eternally. Where is even the zipper for this bag? This bag is trash.
Oh my gosh. I'm scared to know what's in there that's been in your garage in 90 something degree heat.
Well, it should be fine. Let's see. Let's start with the body, which I did. I
It's
did
in
stand
parts.
down. This is the body.
Oh.
Do you recognize this shape?
That
I'm a little far away from the mic, I
yeah,
guess.
it's not it's strat-ish, but that's not a strat. That's what is that? Boop.
Well, the next thing I pull out will help. Actually, maybe the next thing I pull out won't help because I won't. This is the pick guard.
Okay. Oh, that also looks familiar.
Though these pickups are EMG selects. They are not the. I don't believe these are the original pickups.
Is that pick guard spray painted?
Yes, I believe it was spray painted black.
Yeah. And so are the pickup covers because the pickups are white underneath the part that wasn't
No,
above the guard.
No, the pickup covers are black.
Okay. So it looked like the edges. Anyway, just a weird trick of the lighting.
This is like this bag is actually rotting.
Time to toss it.
This is a bunch of other random parts.
Mm-hmm.
God, what a mess. Is there stuff in here? Oh. It's literally this bag is rotting. How wild. I've never seen that happen. I do like these knobs. These little
Let's see.
these knobs that don't turn. Oh my god. Well, I liked those knobs, but they don't turn.
Oh yeah. I know those knobs. I can find you those again.
Oh yeah, what's it? Tiki Flamingo Chicken says mouse. It might be because of a mouse because we did have a mouse in our garage. All right, here's the answer for everybody playing along.
Oh yeah, Ibanez.
This is a 80s Ibanez Roadstar 2, and I have owned these parts for a long time, too long of a time. And I bought them when I was, in San Diego, but I bought these, I don't know, years ago. I bought all of this stuff for, I think $60 maybe, with the intention of like doing a refin because I just didn't, it was kind of beat up and rusty and Obviously, the hardware is kind of jank. It was not in parts when I bought it. I took it apart. Um, but yeah, but that's this is 100% on. Like I knew because living in the condo, I did strip that finish in the condo,
Uh huh.
sitting on the floor of my patio or in like a patio chair with either a heat gun for some of it or and what? How did I know I did some of it with a heat gun, and I did some of it with like I think just a hand sander,
Oh yeah, I've done that.
or like
Actually,
just like with sandpaper, literally in my hand, not even like a tool, but like
yeah.
just trying to get in there. So now I have an orbital sander. I should be able to finish that up pretty quick.
Yeah, you should
Um,
probably use some actual chemicals and get all of it off of there.
I don't. I've done chemical stripping before. Now
Uh
there's
huh.
not a lot left, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah, that way because you
that's
won't have to
kind
use
of
much now. I don't like doing it
yeah.
from the start. I like getting as much as I can off and then using it in problematic areas.
Right, and I do have that. Inside the horns is really hard to get to with
Yeah.
anything. And actually, now that I think about it, I think I used. I think for I don't remember why, but I had uh, some kind of powered sander. I don't know if you would call it like it's not like orbital because it doesn't orbit, but it's just the kind that vibrate. I don't know what
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
called
Yeah, almost like
because I'm
the
not a
I had an old Black& and Decker mouse sander for a while there.
yeah yeah basically one of those. Um, and I think the one that I had that I was borrowing was also Black and Decker. Um, I don't know if it was the mouse or because it was super old.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's basically what I had. So anyway, yeah, and this would be the perfect guitar to throw on along with that green one back there, along with some other stuff. These are all things that would be great for Music Nomad projects. But I don't know, man. I have a pretty
What
strong
what are you gonna
suspicion.
what are you
I
gonna
have
do
a
with
pretty
the
strong
finish?
suspicion. I don't know. Oh, that was the guitar that I wanted to do. The reason I bought that was because uh, we had this rattle can Krylon that was like I think it was called like Cactus Green.
Uh huh.
Um, and so that I wanted to paint a guitar that color. I really liked the way that it looked. I wanted to do like maybe like two coats of that so it would be like it wouldn't be like intentionally translucent, but it would
Oh,
be like kind
interesting.
of translucent. If it's the color, if that was the name of it, um, it's kind of like yeah, I think that's it. It's almost like surfy, but not. It's not surf green, but it's in that neighborhood.
Yeah, for those
Uh,
of you playing at home, this is the color.
yeah, I think that's the color I'm thinking of
Hobby
that we
Lobby
had.
wants to know my location. No.
No.
Anyway.
Uh, but so I'm looking at doing that color. Like I said, like maybe like I want it to be like I actually think that the top on this is decent. Maybe I need to look into like how to do some like grainy like something to make the grain pop
Right?
on it. Some reading on that. But I like the grain on it, so I don't want to be like fully opaque. I'm just thinking, some light coats of that color green, um, and then some kind of rattle can clear and call it a day.
Yeah. No, I think that's
And
a
I mean, in the fall it stays in the 70s for a while, and in the spring it stays in the 70s for a while. So it's like I've got the ideal weather to do outdoor painting, um, to do outdoor spray. I just need to set it up, and I haven't.
yeah. Time to
And
do it.
there needs to be what we need is I need the channel to blow up like a few million subs, and then I need it to be big enough that DraftKings has a market on whether or not I will complete this build before I die.
Oh my gosh. The moment DraftKings cares about any guitar channel.
Yeah.
The moment I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Well, I think we're about done.
I think so. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime, dude. Actually,
Oh
it's
yeah,
past
it's
lunchtime
it's
for me.
past. Yeah, it's lunchtime for me. I did have breakfast, thankfully, but
Yeah,
this was
same.
fun. It's always fun. I shouldn't
It
say that.
yeah, it
Oh,
is
this was
always
fun.
fun.
Um,
So if we were to stay on schedule, which we almost never do, that would put
I
our
feel like this was
next.
on schedule. Wasn't
This
this on
was three
schedule?
weeks. 3 weeks. We nailed it. 3 weeks to the day. Um, puts us on September 8th. Might be our next live stream.
Ooh, that one I could see being tricky just
Is it?
because of its proximity. Well, I guess the school year starts this week, so that
Yeah.
one might not be tricky.
Yeah. Well, we will see. We're not making that promise, but it could be. My hair is getting too long because now my headphones push it around. I need to go get a
Yeah, yeah,
haircut.
yeah. I wanted to. Is your hair hard to cut?
Yeah, my hair. Yeah, it's super
Okay.
thick. It's super. I use a lot of gel. I normally keep it a lot shorter than this. It's what. Okay, so what happened was I schedule my haircut. I can't believe I'm talking about this on a podcast on a live stream. I schedule my
You
haircut.
brought it up on your podcasts.
I know. I schedule my haircuts. Like when I go get my haircut, I schedule my next
Hmm.
haircut. That's just the way I do it every 5 weeks. Every
Yep.
5 weeks. Well, the week I was supposed to go get my haircut, I had COVID. And
Oh.
so I haven't been able to schedule and get back in to get my haircut. And now I'm about to be gone for 2 weeks and I'm
Hmm.
struggling here. So,
I was more amused at the at because you talked about being able to count the number of hairstylists that you've had.
oh,
Uh,
dude, that's a weird like I don't know if that's a weird like manifestation of my ADHD or some other neuroses, but I don't get new people to cut my hair very easily. It's very hard.
hmm.
Um, and so I try to go back and like find a person and stick with it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean that's understandable. I,
yeah,
I've said this before on the main on my normal show. I have had I think two different people cut my hair in the last 20 years.
yeah,
And the reason for there's two and not one is because there was at one point where the woman who normally cuts my hair was on vacation the month that I needed a haircut, and I like really needed it. So I went to
yeah,
Sports Clips, and it was not good.
yeah. No, I would never
No.
go to a place like Sports Clips. No. Well, all right, y'all. That's it. We're signing off. We're gonna
Yep.
actually do it this time. We're doing that really hardcore Southern goodbye where we say it like 4 times. We're
Okay.
currently out in the driveway. So bye, y'all. Have a good
See
time.
ya.
See you next
Stay
time.
grounded.
Be good to yourselves. Be kind to each other. Make some noise. That's too long.